And we are live.
Good evening. The meeting of the Committee of the Whole Operations is now called to order, and I'd ask everyone to rise as you're able for the reading of the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. We acknowledge the rich history of this land, which includes the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. Today, there are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who live or work in the city. The intent of this acknowledgement is to recognize our responsibilities to use and take care of these lands responsibly and respectfully, while remembering the generations past and considering the generations yet to come. We respect and seek to continue and promote the longstanding relationships with this area's First Nations, the Six Nations of the Grand River First Nations, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Indigenous people who reside within the city of Brantford. Let us also not forget those who served our community who are no longer with us, so we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Please be seated. I'm now going to pass the floor to Mayor Davis, who's going to provide some comments on former Mayor Ron Eddy.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a few comments regarding the passage of former County Mayor Ron Eddy. He passed away on Friday, April the 3rd at the age of 94. I must say it's my honor as the Mayor of Brantford to pay tribute to the former Mayor Eddy, a man who devoted so much of his life to public service and to the people of the County of Brant. Ron, many of us have had many interactions with Ron and know him quite well, and he was the kind of leader who was approachable, he was grounded, and he was deeply committed to his community and this region. In my own interactions with Ron, I came to know him as a very affable colleague with a unique sense of humor and someone who never lost sight of the work that needed to be done. Besides Ron's mainly at times easygoing nature, he was clearly one of the shrewdest political minds that I've ever had the privilege to know. Ron understood people, he understood communities, and he understood how to bring both together to get meaningful achievements accomplished. And he led with both instinct and insight, a combination that I think made him a truly remarkable and effective leader for the County of Brant and also for the benefit of this region. Our communities with the County of Brant were obviously very closely connected, and Ron's leadership leaves a legacy not only on the County of Brant, but on the broader region of which we all share. So on behalf of the City of Brantford, I extend my sincerest condolences to Ron's family, his friends, and all those who knew and served with him. His legacy of service and leadership will not be forgotten. And it's in honor of his memory that I now ask that those who are able to please stand for a moment's silence. And just before you sit down, I want to confirm that in recognition of the long service that Ron Eddy provided to his community, in respect of that legacy and in respect to his family in the County of Brant, the flags of the City of Brantford, city facilities will be flown at half-mast tomorrow, Wednesday, which is the day of the visitation, and on Thursday, the day of the funeral. Thank you very much. You can now be seated.
Thank you for that, Mayor Davis. Madam Clerk, you confirmed the roll call has been taken.
Through the chair, roll has been taken.
Perfect. Members of the committee, any declarations of conflict of interest to declare on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, at this time, I'll ask the members of the committee if there are any items you'd like to have separated for discussion purposes, noting that we do have 6.1.4, that's Parks and Recreation Department allocation policy, automatically separated. Councillor Samwell.
6.1.1, 6.1.7, and 6.1.9, please.
6.1.1 Eagle Place neighborhood traffic calming, 6.1.7 traffic calming and traffic control, and then the neighborhood association code of conduct. Gotcha. Councillor McCreary.
Madam Chair, thank you. 6.1.3 truck routes, 6.1.5 weed inspectors, 6.1.6 right-of-way permit review.
Almost everything. Mayor Davis.
Well, let's make it complete the trifecta. 6.1.2.
All right. Seeing nothing else. Councillor Carpenter, I believe you have the motion to approve all items for consideration that have not been separated.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Van Tilburg that all items contained within the consideration consent item 6.1.2 not separated for discussion purposes be approved.
And Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind reading the titles of what we're voting on, should be a short list.
The items subject to the vote are as follows. Item 6.1.8 Winfield West Neighborhood Traffic Safety Review. Item 6.2.1 2025 Climate Change Action Plan Annual Update. And 6.2.2 the minutes.
We'll call the question.
All items not separated for discussion purposes carry on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Thank you for that. We'll now move forward to staff presentations, and I'd like to ask Lori Dawn Caven, Manager of Community Recreation and Events, and Kim Weiskell, Director of Parks and Recreation, to come forward and begin your presentation. As you know, you have 10 minutes to present.
Good evening, Kim Weiskell, Director of Parks and Rec, and I'd just like to introduce Lori Dawn Caven, who's here to do our presentation tonight, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Mayor Davis, members of council, colleagues, and the viewing public. My name is Lori Dawn Caven, and I am the Manager of Community Recreation and Events with the Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Parks and Recreation Department's first allocation policy. An allocation policy is a formal framework that guides the distribution of recreational amenities that is consistently applied through established processes. This policy will ensure that the city is scheduling and issuing permits in a transparent, fair, and equitable way. It will support the city's transition to a fully centralized online booking system, support staff in resolving allocation conflicts, to provide an enhanced customer service experience, to optimize city facility usage, and to operate with greater fiscal responsibility. The city of Brantford is currently managing significant allocation challenges. Not unlike other municipalities, ongoing demand for primetime ice continues to be a challenge. Our community members have embraced a passion for the sport of pickleball, which has placed considerable demand on both indoor and outdoor facilities across all age groups. There continues to be an increased demand on our limited cricket facilities. And lastly, the ongoing demand for pool space, which requires a balance between the needs of user groups, city registered programming such as swimming lessons, and access to pool space for community members. Extensive internal consultation was completed to assist with shaping and guiding the development of this policy and includes consulting with all staff levels of the Parks and Recreation Department, including our team of booking clerks, consulting with team members from Economic Development and Tourism, and consulting with team members from Communications, Community Engagement, and Customer Service, and lastly, meeting with all elected officials. The key findings from the internal consultation included the creation of a list of 15 top priority uses of our facilities that would later be used through our external consultation process for ranking, to identify all the pressures being felt through allocating facilities, to review and establish a clear definition of historical user, to ensure clear and concise language with strong processes, to maintain flexibility in the policy to support unique opportunities for our city, such as commercial filming and bidding on sporting events, the clear need for a conflict resolution and appeal process, and lastly, to establish a balanced approach to aquatics programming between direct city programming and the needs of aquatics user groups. Extensive external consultation was also completed that included consultation with the Brantford Sports Council, engagement through the Let's Talk Brantford, Let's Talk Allocation engagement site. We hosted 6 unique community consultation open house workshops that engaged attendees in working through relevant Brantford allocation issues. We conducted a digital and hard copy survey targeted to both community members and user groups. And lastly, we recently hosted 3 community meetings to share key findings and gather additional feedback on the draft allocation documents. In total, 67 attendees participated in the community workshops and included representatives from sport user groups, neighborhood associations, and community members at large, including 34 pickleball players at one session. Data from 5 of these workshops overwhelmingly prioritized children and youth, while the pickleball participant workshop overwhelmingly identified seniors as a priority user group. Additionally, many recommendations and suggestions for additional facilities were shared. Specific to the Let's Talk allocation site and the survey that was conducted, we received 624 visitor engagements and 150 survey responses. 41.7% of survey respondents identified themselves as representative of a group or a club, while 29.1% of respondents were community users such as Wayne Gretzky Sports Center members. Respondents indicated that the top 2 factors impacting future participation is 1, user group's ability to access space, and 2, the cost to participate. 41% of users indicate that they have enough space, while 37% of users do not. 52% of respondents confirm that they have traveled outside of our community, outside of Brantford, to access space, highlighting the county, Cambridge, Woodstock, and Hamilton as locations. 70% of respondents indicate that they were able to book or partially book the facilities they needed. The need for additional space would accommodate additional practice availability and to accommodate participant growth. Key findings of the survey included the need to prioritize children and youth, address the demand on pickleball and cricket, improve customer service with the permitting process, and communicated the need for indoor practice facilities and indoor turf. Next steps, staff are seeking council approval to fully implement the new allocation policy and accompanying standards. The most notable changes to existing processes include support of Brantford Residents First approach by removing and resetting historical user status for all existing non-local user group access to prioritize and local user groups. This one-time reset will prioritize our local groups to access additional space they may need. To confirm a maximum number of 10 major aquatics meets per year at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center. Major aquatics meets result in significant program cancellations that displace members from accessing pool programming such as aquafit classes and lane swimming. Although members are understanding of being displaced from time to time, staff are recommending that displacement due to major meets be limited to 10 times per year and not to exceed 2 times per month. Lastly, staff will continue to implement the newly established permit timeline schedule that outlines booking windows based on priority. Following this established schedule will improve the performance of issuing permits to user groups. Once approved, staff will work with all user groups to prepare for the implementation of a new permit amendment fee effective January 1st. The intent of this fee is to significantly reduce the administrative burden associated with permit changes. And lastly, staff are recommending to eliminate the walking track rental fee effective January 1st to reduce track closures for our many community members that depend on using the track for daily physical activity. In conclusion, the Parks and Recreation Department looks forward to having an approved policy that will support staff to administer a fair, equitable, and transparent allocation process through a customer service-centered approach. Support staff with managing demands and resolving conflicts among users in a consistent manner, and support the vision of moving closer towards centralized booking and online permitting using online platforms and software. And lastly, to maximize the utilization of all city recreation facilities. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department, we'd like to acknowledge the community and all contributors who supported the development of this policy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We're going to hold questions till the items on the floor during the debate portion of the meeting. So we'll now move forward to the delegation portion of this meeting. So members of the committee, we do have 6 delegations registered to speak to items on tonight's agenda. So prior to hearing the delegations, I'll remind everyone who's here in the meeting today that the following rules of decorum do apply as per the city's procedural bylaw. So no person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than materials that, in the opinion of the chair, are legitimate and necessary audio-visual tools in connection to the presentation. All persons present shall be polite and maintain respectful language. All persons addressing council shall speak only to the subject in the debate and not speak to any other subject. And no person shall applaud participants in debate or engage in conversation or behavior that may disrupt the proceedings. Not that I think anybody tonight would do anything like that. So we will call up first. We have Paul Monet. Paul, you'll be speaking first. So pick a mic, any mic. You'll see a button there when you hit the button and the light turns red. What's that? At the bottom.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. You are officially live.
Officially
You
live.
have 10 minutes, and that's inclusive of questions from the community.
I will not need
From
10 minutes. My name is Paul Monet. Thank you for having me here today. My connection to the Gretzky Center begins in 1974, in September 74, when it was the Brand Aquatic Center. My family was the first family to have members at that facility. And it continues today. I do not swim. I go and lift weights barely, but I do drive my father to the pool 4 or 5 times a week as he continues to train as a master swimmer, hoping to compete as a 97-year-old in Budapest at the World Championships next year. I went to the meetings that they had in the evening that Lori Dawn was referencing. One of the things that came out of that meeting was she spoke there briefly there about major meets, but another thing that came out was what they called minor swim meets. And those were defined as meets that took less than 4 hours. And there were a couple of other swimming groups there. Their small meets required 4.5 hours. And at 4 hours, they just can't do that meet. And I thought that was wrong. And I don't swim, but it was something that bothered me enough that I wanted to go on the record that, can we tweak this to make this happen? In the past couple of weeks, we've seen in the paper that a club swimmer from the Brand Aquatic Club broke one of Julie Howard's club records. And we just had another young lady win a national championship in artistic swimming. And they didn't start doing that on big meets. They started doing that on small minor meets. Those meets matter. And if you look at the history of athletes that the city of Brantford has sent to the Olympics, aquatics has sent more athletes to the Olympics than any other sport. We've sent one hockey player on the ice in the Olympics, but we have a lot more in aquatics. It matters. I'm hoping that there is room in this policy to address that for the sake of half an hour. And yes, the membership swimmers are going to miss their aquafit. They're going to miss their lane swimming. For the sake of half an hour, these clubs can matter. The other half of this I would like to address it's a parallel thought. And Lori Dawn touched on it in her little presentation about access for the membership, which is not part of the user group thing, but the access to the membership. And Councillor McCreary will remember the meetings in January, and Councillor Martin would if he was here. There were some significant changes to the programming for the pool that happened this year. Don't mess with the schedules of old people. There was pitchforks, there were flaming torches, there was angry crowds. I could not find a parallel policy that directly describes the access for the membership portion of the Gretzky Center for that. The club swimmers, all these organizations, they need that. It's up to you guys to figure out how to manage that. But the experience that is managed by these club swimmers, every week we go in there and there is a new paper laying out what the schedule is for the week coming. We deserve a little bit better than that. And I'm hoping that either in parallel with this policy that took 4 years, and no, I don't want to add another 4-year process, or can we create a new document that defines how this will be managed so that the regular lane swimmer users, the regular membership users get a consistent, predictable, reliable, world-class experience. The people that are lane swimming there are the former club swimmers. They are the people like my father who are competing on the world championship level. There, on my count, people that I have to know, there's about a dozen people that have or have qualified and competed at world championships of one sport or another, swimming or triathlon, that are training at the Gretzky Center on their own. And while I'm not asking you to coach them, I'm not asking you to give them anything other than a consistent place to train. And we're not seeing that right now. And that was 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And that's all I really had. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I don't see any questions for you, Paul, but thank you so.
Yep.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Councillor Carpenter.
Sorry, just quick, thanks, Paul, for coming. So what you're looking for is some consistency so that the lane swimmers will have a regular schedule and they know what it is.
Yeah, yes. If you looked at the schedule, and it wasn't me that did the math, so if I'm misquoting the lady that spoke at the meetings that we had at the facility in January 2025 to January 2026, 70% of the lane swimming hours were cut. That got quite a few people upset. Some of those hours were returned, not all of them were. I understand that it's a time management problem. I understand that it's a staffing problem. I work in bicycle repair, and when somebody comes into the store with a flat tire, they don't have a flat tire problem. I have a flat tire problem. And I think that same kind of hospitality issue needs to be the experience for the membership at the Gretzky Center, probably the Beckett facility, any of the other facilities. The golf course, I imagine, falls under this as well. That's a membership-based city facility. I think we just deserve a little bit better consistency and some input into how that is managed. Things that came out of those meetings in January was the idea of creating a user group between members of the Gretzky Center with the staff at the Gretzky Center. I have reached out to David Ferguson a couple of times. I'm having lunch with him in a couple of weeks, and to try and discuss some ideas to make that happen. But I want the same kind of codified experience for the members of the Gretzky Center, so they can actually use the facility as best fits them. When you go into that building and you scan your way in, the only thing they know is who you are and when you got there. They don't know where you went. They don't know how long you were there. They don't know what you were doing. And those kind of data capturing things would go a long way to figuring out what the facility actually needs to do. The facility needs a bath. Look at all the air vents in that building. They're kind of gross. Somebody needs to go through there with a pressure washer. I've come down to thinking of it, it's a hospitality situation. If you went into a hotel room and you experienced leaking shower heads, they'd either replace the shower head or they would put you in a new room right away. I walked through the change room the other day, none of the shower heads were leaking. So that's a really bad example today. But it is, and I get it's a challenge. It's an ongoing thing. We don't have unlimited money. I understand all that, but that's not my problem. That's it. That is your problem. And the users there don't want to have problems. They want solutions. They want consistency. They want access to the facility. And it's hard. I get that. It's a shared use. We have to share with the club swimmers, share with the length swimmers. An example I can give you, length swimming in the deep end is very, very rare right now. And the people that are training seriously want that access. It's not available early in the morning anymore. It's available starting at 10:30. Well, the people that are training seriously that are going to try to compete at Kona for triathlon or the other world championship, which is in France, that costs money. Those people have jobs. Do you know what they're doing at 10:30?
Working.
They're working. That early morning access really does make it possible. The swim lessons have been expanded. Fantastic. Sorry, fantastic. That takes that's a priority. Weekend length swimming has been reduced because swimming lessons have taken that space. Fantastic. But we've lost a lot of length swimming access for a lot of reasons. But the entire experience, I think, could be improved by creating some kind of either adjacent policy to what you're talking about today, or creating a new policy document in participation with the people that actually use the facility. And
Thanks for that
that's
clarification, Paul.
yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I see no further questions for you. You have 2 minutes to spare, so thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you. All right, next we will welcome up, we have representatives from the Brant Artistic Swimming Club. So we have Terry Lynn Unsworth, Julia Wheeler, and Anne Riddell. And feel free to sit down and take a load off if you're interested. You can, there's buttons at the base of the microphone. When it lights up red, you're live. And you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation. That's inclusive of questions from this committee. So when you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to go fast because I have a lot to say. Members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to address an issue that affects health, equity, and community cohesion in our city. It's accessibility to community sports. My name is Julia Wheeler, and I am the head coach with the Brant Artistic Swimming Club. Before I share my thoughts, it is important for you to understand my long-standing commitment to this community. I speak not only for the world of artistic swimming, but for accessibility to youth sport for all. Our club is about to celebrate its 50th season this year, and I'm currently in my 45th anniversary year of artistic swimming. As a high school student, I worked as a lifeguard at the Brantford Aquatic Center, as it was called then. I am born and raised in Brantford and continue to raise my own family here. My father, Wayne Wood, was the city's general manager, overseeing the engineering and city operations for 37 years. I have watched this city grow over the years, and I am proud to call Brantford home and train at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center. Our city's youth are being displaced from practice times at pivotal points in their training schedules. This is not an occasional inconvenience. To accommodate out-of-town team bookings, local athletes have been removed from lanes or had their training times altered. On Saturday, January 31st, local artistic swimming athletes showed up for their scheduled practice, confirmed by the facility that was double booked with a Hamilton swim team. Hamilton was permitted to enter the pool while our young athletes stood on the deck displaced, and after an hour of trying to correct the situation, were sent home and told they had no practice time for the rest of the weekend. Just 9 days before a major competition. On several occasions, out-of-town athletes have been prioritized over long-standing local clubs that have served this community for decades. These clubs are funded by our residents, supported by our residents, and relied upon by our residents. When their training time is disrupted, it directly affects athlete development, program stability, and overall quality of sport in this city. This is not simply a scheduling issue. It is a question of fairness and responsibility. Our facilities are funded by local taxpayers. Our youth programs are built by local volunteers and families. And when external groups are given priority over resident-based clubs, it undermines the very purpose of a community recreation system. On September 22nd, 2025, as part of the annual process of booking pool permits, we received the offer of alternate pool time, and when it couldn't be accommodated on the same day after we had accommodated that, it started to disappear from our permits without any notice as our athletes were showing up for pool time. I want to acknowledge the considerable work that has gone into the reviewing of the previous allocation policy and developing a more forward-thinking framework. The effort to modernize the system, consult the stakeholders, and move toward an equitable model is evident, and it deserves recognition. The intention behind the new policy is strong, and it has been communicated that the intention is Brantford first. But the practical outcome still creates gaps that could limit participation and reduce future program capacity. We need to ensure that the modernization does not unintentionally destabilize the organizations that have been serving residents for decades. The city needs an allocation policy that grows with our community in a positive way. I would like to draw your attention to a few of our concerns with the allocation policy that should be discussed prior to its adoption. While Brant Artistic Swimming fully supports the move to reset historical bookings, I do want to highlight a significant concern to how this transition will affect community clubs. Without a phased or protected approach, the policy may unintentionally limit our ability to grow in a positive and sustainable way. While we absolutely appreciate the need for facilities to generate revenue, I urge council to have a meaningful discussion about the implications of allowing user groups from other communities to book time and be recognized as historical user groups within our system. When external organizations are granted this status, it comes at the expense of the very residents whose tax dollars fund these facilities. Our concern is straightforward. Local clubs should not be placed in a position where they lose access or face increased costs because time has been allocated to groups that do not contribute to the tax base that maintains these pools. If we are serious about supporting accessibility, affordability, and long-term sustainability for our residents, then local needs must be prioritized. For that reason, I strongly recommend that annualized bookings from outside communities be reviewed only after facility schedules have been filled with clubs and programs that represent our own tax-paying residents. This ensures that revenue opportunities remain available, but not at the risk of displacing or destabilizing the organizations that serve our community every day. Second point we'd like to look at, the proposed cap on the number of swim meets permitted annually. Not as big of an issue for us, but I know in the world of aquatics, this is massive, specifically major and minor events. While I understand the intention is to balance community access and reduce strain on staff and infrastructure, the practical effect of this cap could unintentionally undermine the sustainability both of the facility and the clubs that rely on it. Swim meets are not simply competitive events. They are a primary source of revenue that helps offset operational costs, support staffing, maintain equipment. For community clubs, meets are essential for the funding, coaching, and training programs and athlete development. When the number of meets is restricted, the financial model that keeps these programs viable is unstable. If the goal is to build a stronger community, then we need policies that support the activities that these programs financially healthy and community focused. Prioritization needs to be given to the Brantford residents and the organizations and clubs of this community. Accessibility to the Brantford-based sports is not a luxury. Let's ensure that every Brantford club can grow and feel part of something larger than themselves. The taxpayers of this community can no longer carry the burden and be the dumping ground of the lack of pool space in other communities, including Hamilton, London, and Waterloo. I ask you to protect our legacy in the pools. We are ready to dive into an era that includes 100 years of combined service in our community between the Brant Artistic Swimming Club and the Brantford Aquatic Club. I leave you with this. We have contributed or continued to hear Brantford say this will be a Brantford first approach. As council, what are you willing to do to protect your city's youth and organizations that proudly wear Brant on their uniforms? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. And we do have, no clapping. We do have Mayor Davis had some questions for you. Oh, sorry, are you finished your presentation?
No, they have a couple.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
We're a team. All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Terry Lynn Unsworth, and I'm the president of the Brant Artistic Swimming Club. Thank you for the opportunities to speak about the proposed parks and recreation policy. Our club may be small, but we are proud of our impact. We currently have 30 competitive provincial athletes, including 3 adaptive athletes and 28 recreational athletes. Over the past 4 years, we've seen steady growth, welcoming several new athletes each year, a reflection of both rising interest in our sport and the strength of our community. Next year, we celebrate our 50th anniversary. For half a century, we've provided athletes in Brantford with a supportive, inclusive environment to participate in artistic swimming. Our athletes proudly represent our city at competitions, and our families are deeply engaged and supportive. At our core, our mission is simple: to provide a positive, accessible, and inclusive environment for athletes of all levels and abilities. We support the Brantford Club's first approach in the proposed policy. Prioritizing local organizations helps ensure clubs like ours can continue to operate, grow, and contribute to a healthy, active community. However, as a small club, we face real financial challenges. We work hard to keep fees affordable so families can participate. Managing costs is essential to sustaining our growth. One key concern is the expectation that clubs book for pool time to maintain it for their historical booking in anticipation of future club growth in years to come and pay for pool time that may not be presently needed. While we understand the intent, this creates significant financial strain. Paying for time we may not yet need forces difficult choices, including potentially rising fees, which creates barriers for participation and works against our mission. Instead, we ask for support that enables sustainable growth, such as flexibility in booking, assistance with marketing to attract new athletes, and access to quiet space near the pool at the Gretzky Center for planning and coordination. We are committed to growing responsibly, but we need policies that reflect the realities of smaller organizations. We are proud to be part of the Brantford community, and we ask for your support so we can continue to grow, celebrate our 50th year, and inspire future athletes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor Davis, members of council and administration from the city of Brantford for hearing from our delegation tonight. My name is Ann Herbison-Ruddle, and I'm Mac's mom. McAllen is our 14-year-old son, and he is the first male member to join the Brant Artistic Swim Club and is a member of the competitive team in the incredibly impressive adapted athlete program. He's been a member of the BASC Tigers for just over 3 years, and he currently trains 2 times a week with 2 other adapted athletes and gets plenty of one-on-one coaching, which he needs, being a level 2 diagnosed autistic. I don't like saying that, a boy on the spectrum. Yes, he is the only boy, and yes, he is the only athlete in the cognitive stream, but he is not alone. The Brantford Artistic Swim Club has built an amazing sports community for our entire family to be a part of, openly collaborating with the other partners in the pool. In fact, this past year, I was really impressed when the coaches here hired a coach from the Brantford Aquatic Club to train kids like McAllen and some of the other athletes to become stronger, build better strokes and stamina in the pool. It's a great experience of collaboration. Tonight I'm here first as McAllen's mom, but it's not the first time I've stood in council for youth sports. My very first time was in June 1990. Mayor Davis, I believe you may have been a councillor at the time, or alderman, and I was a member of the first team in Brantford to bring home gold for Brantford Briars. We were the Brantford Briars Bantamweight girls team. It was an incredible honor to be called into council and recognized by the mayor and the aldermen, or alder people at the time. So I want to share with you that my experience through youth sports led me and my family to move back from Niagara to raise our family here in this community. And the community that I fell in love with, that built me and that raised me, is what I've looked for in our children. Unfortunately for our middle child, Carling, she had to move away from Brantford to follow her passion and love for hockey, because Brantford and the way the organization was run didn't provide the amount of development that she needed or ice time. She's thrived in other communities, and when she played in Ancaster, I was a manager and regularly booked ice here in Brantford because the rates were cheaper and the times were better for girls hockey. So there, at the time, there was a surplus. I know now, being a part of the Brantford Artistic Swim Club, watching other organizations from outside of our community use our pools, they don't have the same spirit of our community or respect for our facilities or our people. Last year, there was a water polo club that came on right after McKellen had his one-on-one coaching time and would regularly take over the deck, start setting up their equipment, put their nets in front of us. McKellen tripped on it once. When I asked the coaches if they could pause and wait, they really seemed indifferent and didn't care, even when I made a point of raising that it was pretty rude of them. That risk of working with that Brantford policy, I really hope is a Brantford first policy, working with our clubs and our associations that are from Brantford and that are supporting our Brantford taxpayer dollars. Carling currently plays in Waterloo, and when we signed with the Waterloo Ravens, we had to pay a surplus on our registration fees because we are not taxpayers of the municipality. So I'm sure all of our organizations are willing to work together to ensure that we can make those costs covered. This is about making money. It's about investing in our future, and our kids and our youth are our future. And I really want the next generation to be able to stand up here and talk about the amazing experiences that they've had with the Brantford Artistic Swim Club, just like I did, and that they are the next generation that we are raising. So we need to invest in Brantford first, please.
Thank you so much for advocating for your group. We've gone a few minutes over, but thank you very much. We don't have any time for questions.
That's okay.
Moving forward, I'm going to invite Robert Coleman from Brantford City Soccer Club up, delegating to the same topic, our Parks and Recreation Department allocation policy. So you've probably heard this a few times already, but just push the button at the base of the microphone when it lights up red. The floor is yours. You have 10 minutes, inclusive of questions from this committee.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak before you this evening. My name is Robert Coleman. I am currently the president of Brantford City Soccer. City staff, community stakeholders, and all involved in the development of the final draft of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan should be commended for getting this important item addressed and in its current point. Brantford City Soccer and some other minor sports group have some minor concerns with Appendix D, courts, sports fields, parks allocation standard that we believe present themselves as an obstacle for local sports groups and future growth. In Section 3.0, prioritizing allocation of space and existing groups, programs expansion in the 8 in the priority category. However, this year, out-of-town groups who serve space, sorry, wrong glasses. However, these out-of-town groups who secure space will themselves be considered a non-affiliated rental group and would be 6th in the priority category. In effect, this allows groups headquartered outside of Brantford and based outside of the city limits, priority over City of Brantford sports groups. Local sports organizations would be prevented from expanding their own programming as space needed to do so when already booked by groups that serve populations outside of Brantford. Each year, the county, City of Brantford users are only able to secure time after user groups operating within the county have secured their space, and the same standard should apply fairly in the City of Brantford. Brantford City Soccer Club believes that the user groups outside of the City of Brantford utilizing local spaces should be a lower priority category than users groups serving the local population, which expands their programming to better serve the community. We currently have 3,100 people playing soccer in Brantford. We expand every single year. We do give parks back. We understand if other groups take them within the city, we have no issue with that. But if people from outside of the city take the space, again, the local users the following year should be given first shot at it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Carpenter has some questions for you.
Rob, thanks for coming. Nice to see you. So what you're suggesting here is that you want to make sure that the local groups get priority first for any outside groups.
Exactly.
and then you got room to expand your 3,100
Yes,
kids now, and that can, you can grow that, can you not?
yes,
Okay,
that's exactly.
thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, do you have a question? Counselor McCurry has a question for you.
Not a question, an observation.
Oh.
Wayne was mentioned by name earlier by his daughter. I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of Wayne Wood, who was here when a lot of these municipal facilities were created originally.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Okay. Sorry. You're not done yet, Mr. Coleman. There's more questions for you. You like ran so fast. Yeah, no, come on back up, have a seat. Yeah. Mayor Davis has some questions for you if you don't mind.
Thanks, Mr. Coleman, for coming out tonight and describing your situation and that of your organizations. You were mentioning what happens when you try and book something in the county. I didn't miss, I think I missed what you said. I want to make sure
Okay,
I heard it correctly.
when we try and book in the county, we don't get anything until all the other user groups in the county have booked space. Then we're offered space. And with 10:30 at night, 9 o'clock on a Sunday, space that no parents want to bring their kids out to. And this has been going on, I want to say, for the last 5 or 6 years.
Really interesting.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
No problem.
Anyone else? Okay, I think you're free. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have a familiar face to us, Mr. William Harding from Brantford Sports Council. And I don't have to tell you how to use the microphone up here. You know the drill. You have 10 minutes inclusive of questions.
Good afternoon. Bill Harding, Chair of the Brantford Sports Council and Vice Chair of the Community Sports Councils of Ontario. I've been involved in this for a number of years, and it's great to see it moving forward with all the policy and procedural developments that are being undertaken. Allocation policies have and are under review in communities across the province. Having effective processes in place is key to the management of community assets as demand on recreation assets continue to grow across all sectors. The overall purpose is to ensure all stakeholders are effectively engaged in a collaborative process that is transparent and focused on customer service and support. The policy manuals outline the procedures and requirements for all to follow. They've got a great framework established. This represents a significant community engagement and customer service undertaking with all stakeholders in the community. So there's a bunch of documents that you saw earlier, you may have access to. Those are top line documents that provide you with overviews. The detailed policies that have been developed are extensive, comprehensive, and I thank the Parks and Rec staff and development of Lori Don group for the work they've undertaken. It's been 7 years since I worked on it, and 4 years since I know Lori Don and I worked on it again. And this last several months, we've spent a lot of time reviewing that and for all of our members and our community partners. Policy, purpose, objectives, and overview. The purpose is to provide continuous process that engages community stakeholders across all sectors in the community. Engagements that recognize legacy events, seasonal schedules, new events, and hosted events. It's a collaboration allocation process that is developed to provide fair and equitable solutions, recognizing inclusion, equity, and diversity. All those have been incorporated in a number of the city plans and along with the plans and guidelines for the Parks and Rec, and a lot of it's regurgitated there as well, which all that work was put together for these budgets in this go forward period. To ensure the city's management of public usage of recreation assets are maximized in a financially responsible way, and to implement more efficient processes to manage, control, and report on allocation, availability, changes, and update in real time. Use more online and software to be more efficient as we transition to centralized booking and online permit requests. Better management information and communication to be improved with all stakeholders. Develop of transitional plans across all sectors to deal with specific requirements identified. So that takes into from the grassroots up to the pool users, through to gymnasiums, through to the ice users, through to field users, right up to the tourism economic development groups as well. So it's a community, total community engagement opportunity that's being unfolded here tonight for you. The development and key activities. The draft policy and related process are in place and have been presented to all stakeholders with added follow-up meetings held through March. Follow-up will continue with all groups to work on any specific issues that need to be addressed in coming weeks and months. The allocation program needs to be a program that incorporates and builds on ongoing information from all those groups. Historical bookings with the prioritized development and provided that will capture the priorities for users and potential users. You've heard earlier tonight, I heard the one comment about the individuals registering for pool time and that. I think there's a whole program put together here with Let's Talk Brantford and the online and the direct response development that has been put into the process. So if someone were to see that, they would get a better understanding. So that tracking of people when they come in and out the building and getting individuals in is something that has been discussed, and I know we've had discussions about that as well. This does not include onboarding of existing and new assets that need to be included when they are available. So as an example, I guess the Southwest, the Blanche, I guess E. Williams Community Center and school is ready to be open sometime this year. I think the development's been done. They're getting everything organized from what I understand. It's an amazing facility. It's the first facility that will be the central booking and billing out of one area. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest that anyone in the audience today or anyone that's listening, if you go online, you'll see the drawings and the development. It's an amazing site that includes a number of library, school rooms, gymnasiums, a cricket pitch, track, offices, and events, and outdoor fields. Training and development. City staff training, development, orientation schedules for all new policies, procedures, and related customer service. It's an ongoing development that'll be a continuous process. Online procedures and software applications in real time with real-time information. From users, same thing, training and orientation. Automated permit processes. The efficiencies that are gleaned from that are amazing in terms of speeding up the process, making it more efficient and more cost effective. For the public, the Let's Talk Brantford campaign is there, and that's been out, and they're looking at the direct response to any individuals to make sure that if you don't have access to technology, you can get someone and they'll talk to you on the phone about it. Establish added opportunities, multi-use versus exclusive use. This was mentioned earlier tonight in one of the presentations, and it's a matter of Commute Brantford first, obviously, but there are a number of fields that and assets that we have that could be better utilized if you didn't make them exclusive for one sport or one event. And you can do that with a lot of the youth, especially the youth that in that 4 to 12-year-old that have not had that development work. They could be on those fields and they do little or no damage when they're there. If they're playing flag football, they're not wearing cleats. They're not tearing up the field. Minimize the utilization of our assets. The allocation process is we're trying to minimize it's like when you take the plane, when you haven't got all the seats full, you only get one chance. You can't fill them once they take off. You miss that opportunity. So if we've missed those opportunities, we want to make sure we maximize that and take advantage of all of that and find ways to make our allocation and utilization of our facilities at a much higher level. And there's a difference there. And they set some policies up. A couple of key ones include timelines established to effectively manage cancellations. Well, cancellations, if it's an hour you booked, it's easier to fill that. If it's a day, well, give us a little more lead time, maybe in this type of lead time, and we see if we accommodate. If it's a major event, get your plan done early, get it in, get it completed, and then if there are changes, there could be modifications, but let's make that the exception and not the rule. Timelines, parameters to set to minimize lost revenue. Okay, so a lot of times people would cancel, make a cancellation. There's an impact of that. That is lost revenue. So we've got to find better ways to make sure that that process is secure and that the communications between all the groups is improved and the technology that's being developed will support that as well. Continue to work with user groups, organizers, community groups in the development, servicing, support, and setup of events and tournaments. This includes all the things some of them are in place already, the SEAT committee, the MAP committee, the economic development groups as well. That support and services and how the city can support that in different ways, not just with support, but maybe with some funding or some development of things that might help some of the other groups, like helping them with their website or helping them with registrations, et cetera. There's a whole list of things that could be
Bill,
undertaken.
we've just exceeded 10 minutes. Could you wrap? Thank you.
Okay, am I done? This remains a significant community. Okay, working together to make Brantford a better place to live, work, play, and learn and grow. Sports remains a catalyst for that brings the community together. And we will continue to work on this as a group and move this forward in a fashion that will benefit the whole community. Thank you.
Sorry to rush you at the end, but thank you very much for the presentation and for forwarding that information in advance. So I'll now welcome up Randy Meggs of Brantford Minor Baseball. Mr. Meggs, yeah, you can pick any mic. That one's already on. That's convenient.
Hi, excuse me, sorry. I promise not to be very long. Thank you for having me for Brantford Minor Baseball. I do have lots of sheets of paper, but I am not going to talk about them. I do want to concur with one of my friends with soccer. Local sports is a priority for our kids in town. We are doing, with all our organizations that are not for profit, we are trying to do what the city can't do for those kids because there's not enough staffing to do all that. We're providing those sports. One of the problems that I saw on the allocation policy right now, excuse me, sorry, is that minor sports are considered to be one of the top tiers for getting allocation for their fields, for the gyms and all that sort of stuff. However, on the new historical policy, when you give up a field this year and somebody decides during the course of the year that they want to take that spot up, now the following year with most of our minor sports, we fall under what that pro team did the year before. If the Jays do really well, we may have, like this year, we have a lot of extra kids. Soccer probably has a lot more this year because of FIFA. And we end up getting a lot of recreational kids coming out at the last minute. So we have a tough time to turn around and say, we want all these diamonds, they want all these fields, and find out that we either don't have enough kids or we don't have enough diamonds. The city of Waterloo, I've been part of the inter-county for years as well, part of our board. They have over 300 kids in Kitchener-Waterloo that cannot play baseball this year trying to get into house league because there's no diamonds for them. Not because they can't put the teams on there, there's just not enough diamond space. One of our fears is that we give back some diamond space this year, or where other groups give back their space and their time, in the fall, and somebody picks it up, the following year, we do not get that allocation back because it's somebody else now historically got that venue now. We want to keep it for the kids, as it talks in the policy. One of the high priorities was for the kids. I'm an adult. I played my sports when I was a kid. I want to give back to the kids as much as I possibly can. All these groups up here, the majority, I can speak mostly for ours. We're not for profit. All our money, 99% of our money goes right back into the kids at all levels. We do have a slightly different delegation when we work with the county, because the county does not have a baseball team, so we can't get some diamonds there. But we also are more worried about what will happen with this policy if we give back, being fiscally responsible, because we don't have enough kids, say 1 year, give those diamonds back, and now all of a sudden you can't get them the following year. I was also concerned because one of if this policy is the way I see it, tournaments are quite a ways down the list. We produce 22 tournaments a year. Those 22 tournaments usually also include about 3 provincial tournaments. We have approximately, I did write the numbers down here someplace. We have somewhere in the ballparks of about 6,000 people that come into this town a year for our ball tournaments. That money that we generate from the ball tournaments, believe it or not, is not a lot, but that's what we send all our kids off to other tournaments and other centers and other cities with. So that's what we use that money for. But we also bring in nicely over $500,000 a year to just the hotels alone. And we want to make sure that we are going to be able to, if we give up one weekend this year, the following week, that following year, we have more rep teams, we have more other teams. We want to know that we can also get that back. And that is contingent year upon year. We can't look into the future and say 3 years from now and take it on the chin for 2 years or 3 years, because that's not being fiscally responsible to our families, to our kids. I'm done.
Councillor Carpenter has a question for you.
Randy, thanks for coming. So when you talk about, you want the flexibility, so for example, if 1 year you've got less than the full complement of kids lining up for baseball because of the age and where they moved on, and you give up those diamonds, you want to be able to access them back. If you have a bigger group of kids next year, you're going to need more diamonds. You don't want to lose those diamonds forever.
Correct. Again, it's all about, for me, it's all about the kids. And every year we are going to have we're going to have a fluctuation of kids. We don't have that crystal ball. I know I can go back and say in the times when I played in that, I can remember arenas that they didn't give their ice time out until the end of August, because that's when all the kids signed up and the adults had to wait till the end. That can't happen now. I understand that. But when we do find out how many kids we have, and a couple months ahead of time is fine. But when we do give that those spots up for the fear, and we have to have a fear of the following year not getting that diamond back, do we just book the diamond and not put anybody on it for the entire year? That's, like I said, that's not.
Yeah. So you're looking at flexibility then, Randy, so that, for example, maybe a 3-year rolling average, for example, would be more.
That would definitely help.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for what you do for the community too.
I see no further questions. Thank you. I will now ask, we have from Brantford Aquatic Club, Suzanne Pollins, Mike Livings. When you're ready. There you go.
There we go. I just want to say good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about this important issue for us. I just want to give you a little bit of background for myself. I joined the Brantford Aquatic Club as a youth in '98. I started teaching our now defunct swim school in 1999. I became the head age group coach in 2014, and I'm now currently in a shared leadership role as one of our head coaches. Could easily talk about, as some of the other members have said before, just some of the 4 Olympians that we've had, hundreds of national qualifiers, provincial champions, provincial record holders, and all the accolades that the club has received over the past 50 years. But really what I want to talk about is the importance of all of our athletes, the ones that are here in front of us today and the ones that have gone through us over the past 50 years. The ones that find a second home at the Brantford Aquatic Club and move on to become university professors. The ones that put in all the work, the effort, the discipline, the toughness, resiliency that they learn in practices, challenge themselves to swim across Lake Ontario and then become local lawyers and business owners. The ones who have a hard time staying focused in school, find that strategies and passion for sport and use that to become teachers, nurses, doctors, and community leaders going forward. These are all just examples of the athletes that we have come through our program over the last 50 years. Currently, we have over 170 athletes on our program, with our youngest athlete being 6 and our oldest athlete being 87. All of these athletes are competing in competitions in the community and around. This is proving that swimming is a lifelong sport, right, from a young age all the way up through. With this being said, the allocation that they've talked about going forward, having outside communities coming into our facility. You've heard about the Hamilton Aquatic Club, right? We've got Hamilton Water Polo. There's been times when swim teams from Burlington have come in, Wilmont, right? All surrounding areas have taken up our pool time that we've historically had for our practices. We've been kicked out of some of our practices during Christmas training camp. Last weekend, Hamilton hosted a meet in our facility, and our practice schedule was heavily modified because of that on the Friday evening and the Saturday morning. All we're looking for is making sure that we have the historical and legacy bookings first, right? Our needs are taken care of first as being local club, right? Your local city club, and then allowing it to be opened up after that with making sure that our practices and meets are fulfilled there. The group of people that I haven't mentioned yet is our volunteers, right? Our parent volunteers, they support us through and through all the way. And right beside me, I have a parent volunteer that started with her 3 children in the club, became a club board member, moved up to be club president, and now has become the CEO of Swim Canada, and she'll continue on with a little bit more of the important information.
Great, thank you so much. So thank you so much for allowing us to speak today. Thank you to staff who have worked obviously quite tirelessly on an allocation policy. Given my number of years with the club, I have been involved in allocation policy discussions for a lot of years, and also recognizing the Brantford Sports Council and the work that they have done as well. As Mike mentioned, my name is Suzanne Pollins, and I'm a swim mom from Brantford. I've been involved with the club for 27 years, 25 of which I had swimmers competitively swimming for the club from 1999 through to 2024. My youngest is still actually competing at 28 years old, although he moved to Montreal, so now is competing in Montreal. But he competed nationally and internationally representing Brantford. As well, our officials have also represented Brantford, and I've been lucky enough to travel the world as an official also. So as Mike mentioned, 27 years with the Brantford Aquatic Club, 18 of those years were spent on the Brantford Aquatic Club board, and 8 of those years as president. So long history with the club, and for some reason, this swim mom from Brantford ended up to be the Chief Executive Officer of Swimming Canada. So when we think about my role as Swimming Canada as the CEO, pool infrastructure, pool allocation is an ongoing conversation across the country. One of my colleagues is actually in a council meeting virtually in Vancouver tonight on the topic of pool allocation and pool facility and infrastructure. This is a very Canadian issue right now, and I think Brantford has such great success in the facility that we do have, and the commitment that has been made to have a 65-meter pool and a 25-meter pool that was added on in 2014. I think what we need to think about, and what a lot of people have talked about, is really around the importance of recognizing the Brantford clubs, whether that is Synchro, whether it's baseball, whether it's soccer, whether it's swimming. An allocation policy that really respects that community legacy is crucial for the growth and development of sport in our community. There are multiple
Olympic and Paralympic medalists. We know that. We have officials and coaches that have been recognized nationally and internationally. And that pool allocation policy really must protect that historical nature. We need to understand, as has been mentioned, that growth within our programs is so imperative. So that allocation policy priority number 8, which allows for future growth, I think that really needs to be considered strongly to allow the clubs that are in the city grow. In swimming, we have a summer Macintosh effect right now that is certainly seeing growth within our swimming programs across the country. Residents, as has been said, I think the Brantford part of this is so important, and seeing that Brantford first policy is absolutely imperative, and allowing for the growth of programming will allow our clubs to continue to grow within the community that they live and play in and represent across nationally and internationally. So again, thank you for allowing us to speak. Concur with everything that has been said before, and again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
And I see no questions for you. So thank you very much for your presentation. We'll be dealing with this item shortly. So that concludes all of our delegations. Councillor Van Tilburg, I believe you have the motion to place all separated items.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Samwell, that all items for consideration and consent 6.1, 6.2 be separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
Perfect. We'll now take up item 6.1.4 as we had a delegation. We'll deal with that first, which is the Parks and Recreation Department allocation policy. I have Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to everyone who delegated here this evening. It's pretty evident your passion towards our allocation policy, as well as everything that we have to offer you as a city. And I do say thank you for what you bring forward. I also want to thank staff for having a wonderful report in front of us, but I do have one question. I think one of the things that certainly came out tonight from everyone who was here was whether or not there's any type of priority given to local groups, even if that window was open for a day or two prior to us ever booking anything that goes to local Brantford groups. Certainly that's what I've heard tonight from our delegates tonight, that's the priority. So just wanted to know if there's an opportunity for that going forward.
Through the chair to Councillor Caputo, great question. This is the first time we have ever put anything like this forward for our Brantford First approach. So the thought is to bring this forward to council for approval, to do as a one-time reset that will prioritize our local groups to perhaps take up some time that is currently used by non-local groups. And then the policy is coming back to review in 5 years. So the thought from the department was that we could do a reset in 5 years if we felt that it was required. However, I would like to bring it to your attention that in all of the accompanying standards for each of the surfaces for Parks and Recreation, we have each of the standards are under review annually. So we really want to take this first year to do some data and analytics to determine where our what pressure points have been relieved through this reset, and to relook at it in a year's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Mayor Davis next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also have some questions for Lori Dawn. Lori Dawn, we heard from Robert with the soccer group that when they try and book facilities in the county, that they're told that there is a policy that preference is given to groups that are based in the county of Brant. Are you aware of there being any such policy at the county of Brant?
Through the chair to Mayor Davis, yes. We reviewed several policies, reviewed them against our existing processes. And so we were aware of that. What's notable about the policy that's before you today and the standards is that once you are identified as a historical user, So you're in the system as a historical user. That is your time. So you will have access to that time. We've also redefined historical users, taking in account of 3 years of historical usage. So that is very new for this policy. So we're going to look at data over the last 3 years. So the notion of giving back time isn't a terrible thing unless you're doing it 3 years in a row. So that's the way you would lose that historical access. But yes, I am aware that that is how the county allocates their time.
And do they do that for sports other than soccer?
My understanding is that they do it for all surfaces, ice, sports fields. Yeah, those are primarily the two.
Then Randy asked a question from Brantford Minor Baseball that, what happens if one year they don't book as many diamonds because the registration's down? Does that then mean the next year they're stuck with what they took or what they rented the year before?
Through the chair, the new definition of a historical user does take into effect 3 years of usage. So we will be looking at the past 3 years of usage. So again, you give back time, caution groups of giving back time, because that inhibits our ability to often rebook the time. And the focus of this policy is to optimize our facilities and to maximize their use. So we want to put parameters in place that basically allows the users, they do have the ability to give back space, but just to understand that 3 years of historical data is what we will be using for historical use.
Okay. Can you also tell me, we've been talking about baseball diamonds, etc. But what about the use of the pool by, say, for example, the use of the pool by the city for some of the programs we run, such as swim lessons? Are we oversubscribed on swim lessons? Do we have more people looking for swim lessons than the time we have available?
So through the chair, we do carry a significant waiting list for our high demand programs such as swimming lessons and day camps. So we aren't, we're very used to managing waiting lists. What's unique with the pool in comparison to ice is the city itself programs heavily the pool, where not so much as ice. So when you look at pool allocation, not only are we balancing the use of city direct programming, which is stuff like swimming lessons, balancing that against our user groups, but also the expectation of our members, which are Gretzky Center members who pay a fee, purchase a membership, and have an expectation in terms of what their entitlements are through their membership. So it's actually 3 things that we're balancing in the pool, which is quite unique.
Okay. We also heard about groups.
Should I put you down for a second speaking opportunity? Thank you. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for a really in-depth process and a look at our facilities. As it clearly, we are short on facilities. That's what I'm reading the most out of this. There's just not enough facilities for the user groups that are available. And so we need to optimize the allocation of what we got so we can use the facilities for our local people first. Is that what I'm reading clearly?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter, that's correct. Putting the recommendation on the floor to accept a Brantford First approach and do a reset for non-local groups is our opportunity to bring back additional time for our local users.
And for the reset, is the reset a 1-year reset?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay, so and that's not the historical user groups then, is it?
Through the chair for non-local historical groups, yes, it will be.
So the non-local historical groups would be the first that we would take off the list. Is that how?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And we would give priority to, first of all, as I read your report, and pretty intensive report, is that the youth will have first application. Youth is our number one priority.
Yeah, the overarching theme through the entire policy and documents is children and youth are the priority.
Right, and then I think we had seniors over 55, which
Correct.
includes a lot of us here. Okay, thank you. And thank you for the program. I just, for the work here. The user groups had a lot of comments, some tweaking needed to be done. Is that something you can accommodate? The concerns that the user groups raised here today?
Through the chair, there are some comments that we've wrote them down to go back and explore to see what we could accommodate. So we'll certainly do our best. But we feel that the documents that put before you today are truly what staff have done a lot of analysis on and feel is the right approach for our community.
But this will eliminate the user groups for swimming, for example, that are coming from out of town and using our facility and taking up lanes.
Through the chair, that's correct. To do that one-time reset, to give back that time to our local folks.
And when will you be doing a review of parks and recreation facilities? Because obviously there's a shortage of facilities. Will you coming forward with a recommendation about what facilities are being needed and how will you consult with user groups to bring that forward for us?
Through the chair, we'll be looking at that through our master plan, and that should be done shortly.
Sure, this year? I know it's.
We're going to try this year, but we are currently going to be starting the value for services audit
Okay.
for Parks and Rec in the next
I got
couple weeks.
a minute or so, maybe, Madam Chair. Okay, thank you. Just I want to thank staff and user groups, thousands and thousands of volunteers making these programs in our community work, whether it be baseball, soccer, swimming, football, whatever it be. I mean, and many of them involved for a couple of generations. If I look around, being involved in making our community work, we could never pay the amount of volunteers in today's age when you got kids on social media and on their phones like they are, and we could keep them off their phones and for any amount of time being involved in a local sports activity in the community is certainly a blessing. And we are all looking to make that happen more and more. So this is more important today than it's ever been. And the volunteers are more needed than they've ever been needed. And they need to be thanked in a way that's unimaginable, the amount of work that you've done. So thank you for all that you've done and for all coming here. I just want to thank staff for the report. And I look forward to what amenities we need going forward so that we can make sure there isn't one child that can't play or be involved in our community. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
4 seconds to spare. Counselor Samwell.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, to the staff. I had a question in regards to, I was wondering if you could walk me through how neighborhood associations will be supported if they don't yet qualify for historical use.
So through the chair to you, Councillor Samwell, neighborhood associations have very robust calendar of events, as you know. So through the permit timeline schedule that we've created, a lot of their difficulty with accessing space will be resolved by working through the permit timeline. So getting their permit requests in, having them adjudicated with all other users and to undergo our conflict resolution. So that's the first step. Once they're in as a historical user, which as you know, many are, they won't have any trouble accessing the time that they need in each of the community centers. For the specific gymnasium standard, if you will, any neighborhood associations that have new initiatives on their plate that they want to put forward, they will have their permit requests in and they will go through the prioritization matrix as a number 3 on the list. So they have very, very good, they're very high on the priority matrix.
Thank you. So I wanted to thank all of the delegates for being here tonight and staff for all of the hard work that you've put into this policy. It looks like there's been a lot of thoughtful consideration and consultation that's gone into it. I was pleased to see the focus on seniors and youth, and overall I'm supportive of the direction. But I just wanted to make sure that we're balancing the structure with enough flexibility to support our Brantford clubs and inclusive neighborhood level programming that helps build a strong community. Thanks.
Counselor McCreary, you have the floor.
Oh, Chair, thank you very much. Well, thanks to everybody that came tonight. your input. Obviously, you can see in this report, and it's good that so many of you have been not shy about expressing your opinions to me and to the staff, and particularly some of the times we've met at the Gretzky Center. So some of your comments are already inherent, and some of your comments will be taken to heart. I do have some questions of staff. Not that there's, I mean, it was such a fulsome report, there's not a lot of room left for questions, obviously. So to clarify then, particularly with respect to the pool, we will not be giving priority to out-of-town clubs. We will not be giving priority to the for-profit organization that comes there. They get reset.
Through the chair to Councillor McCreary, for the reset is for non-local organizations. We do not, we do not indicate or make any priority for profit or non-profit. That has been our business model here in Brantford for as long as I can remember.
So the opening of Woodman Pool, does that release some of the pressure with respect to summertime swim lessons? Are we programming there?
Through the chair, the opening of Woodman Pool alleviates some of the pressure for the swim lessons, but not significantly.
Okay, all right. So we have allocated 10 major meets per year in the pool. And I understand that's a bit of an improvement over what we were originally thinking. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And that does not include the little meets of 4 or 4.5 hours or whatever the duration is?
That's correct.
Okay. And now to move on, I'm pleased to see that you are not going to be renting out the Gretzky track anymore.
Through the chair, that is correct. If it's approved by council, we are hoping to eliminate that fee from the rates and fee bylaw and no longer allow exclusivity to any particular group. So that's free open access to community at all times, except for ticketed events on Rink 1.
And that is why we fought like the Dickens to spend the $250,000 building that track low these many years ago, so people would have full access to it, correct?
Correct.
Ticketed events, would that include minor hockey?
The ticketed events primarily are the Titan games that take place on Rink 1.
Okay, right. So it wouldn't be any minor sports. People could still use the track during minor sports events.
Correct.
So no new events at Steve Brown, just Canada Day, just call home.
Through the chair, Steve Brown becoming our major event venue has resulted in significant complaints from the neighbors. I believe that with the Walter Gretzky Street Hockey Tournament, Canada Day, and the Call Home Festival, which is a multi-day event, staff feel that we're putting that group through enough and have wrote into the policy that we're hoping council agrees with us that we will limit 3 signature events per year.
Lastly, I've had inquiries about organizations that operate leagues. And the one that came to mind most recently is with respect to a men's golf league at Walter Gretzky Golf Center. Now, the operators of that league are not required to give priority to golf club members, are they? Because it's their event and they decide who plays.
Through the chair, they don't give priority to members, and a lot of the extra revenue coming to the golf course is because a lot of their members pay a significant premium to pay at the golf course because they're not members, and they run their league. They have a website, they run it, they have a wait list. Currently they're sitting at 28 people on their wait list.
And we consider that the same way we consider, say, for instance, minor hockey or minor lacrosse. We rent them the time and it's not up to us to determine who plays.
Through the chair, they run their own program independently.
Okay. And again, this is such a volume of work. It's incredible to see.
Councillor McCreary.
I like the fact that we're going to be segregating each of the segments for review individually. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to second time speakers, I have a few questions, and it's regarding the reset of the historical booking status. So we're hearing a lot about the reset and how that will temporarily give our local user groups sort of a head start, if I'm understanding correctly, in their booking. But next year, if I'm understanding it correctly, the people, the non-local groups who have booked this year or next year, the year after, they will then achieve historical booking status after they've booked 1 year, and then they're back in the group, right? So that pool grows. Am I understanding that correctly?
To you, Chair Sokoli, the historical booking is based on 3 years of data. But the reset, our intent is to do a reset one time. And we feel that that will relieve a lot of pressure and give back time to local groups. But we don't have the reset as a part of the policy document. So as I mentioned before, we are planning on doing a full review of the standards annually. So we'll see how much pressure is relieved.
So I guess my question is, why are we just temporarily resetting that? And why are we not just making it a Brantford First policy flat out moving forward?
Currently, our business model is we've given, once you are identified as a historical user, we've really put our support as a city behind those sports organizations. Many of them are still servicing youth. So they are a part of that business model. Outside groups pay full council approved rates. So it's all part of that balancing and ensuring that our revenue targets are met, our facility usage is met. This reset is really about, I don't believe, and we've ran the data, I don't believe that our non-local groups are going to miss out on time. They're going to get different time. That's our belief. There is, in some surfaces, there is still time to be had, but the preferred time is going to be afforded to our local groups. So they will, in essence, get the leftovers.
Okay. So understanding that we can't make more hours in the day, but we can be smart with how we're using the hours that we do have. Our facilities are full. It's not unreasonable to say that the people who live here and who fund these facilities should come first. And I just think that makes a lot of sense to me, and not just as a temporary reset. Like, I think I don't want to do anything knee jerk. I'm not prepared to do anything knee jerk, but I do think we need to give some consideration again to the labeling of the historic groups, and if we can maybe do something to massage that out so that our local user groups, bar none, always get first dibs at anything when they're looking to book. So that's just by where I'm going with this, but I don't want to do anything. So I realize there's a lot of layers to this onion that I'm probably not seeing right now. So, but that's sort of where my mind's going, just so you have an idea for council. Give you a heads up on that. Now, we do have some second time speakers in the queue. I have Mayor Davis.
Yeah, I'd like to bring an amendment if that's in order now.
Absolutely in order.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, my amendment's driven by how our community has changed over time, and the demand for sports and minor sports ever growing. Unfortunately, the facilities themselves can't keep up with that growth. And if we look to the past, I mean, the reason why we've had groups from outside the community able to utilize our facilities is because 10, 15 years ago, we had the capacity. And so we'd bring users in because they'd help pay for the cost of operating these facilities. That's now changed. Brantford 10, 15 years ago was probably around 85,000. We're now 110,000. We have many more people that are living here in Brantford. Fortunately, we've been proving very attractive for young families as well. And so the demand for our sports facilities grows. So how have other municipalities dealt with this issue, which is scarcity? They clearly have been bringing forward policies, understandably, that provide some priority to their own residents. We hear the County of Brant does that. We hear that Waterloo does it by way of charging a surcharge if you're from out of their community. I have 3 grandkids in Burlington, so I'm often in recreational facilities in the greater Western GTA. I see the same kind of policy there. What we have from staff, the presentation to us reflects that reality of life, that we have to start advancing the interests of Brantford's residents first. And there's good reason to do it because, you know, all our programs run on the basis of what we charge for the fee for a program is designed to cover 50% of the cost. And so the other 50% of the cost of many of our programs come from Brantford taxpayers. We look at the pool in particular, probably the operating deficit every year is somewhere between $1.5 million to $2 million. That's a large sum of money. And who pays that? Brantford residents, Brantford taxpayers. So I'm going to bring forward an amendment. I believe Councillor Caputo is going to second it. And it reads as follows, that the proposal we have in front of us, allocation, which primarily looks at groups. Well, I want to also look at individuals, and it says as follows. The residents of the city of Brantford and Six Nations of the Grand River be granted priority access to registration for all city-operated recreation programs and lessons, such that registration for these residents shall open no less than 24 hours in advance of registration opening to non-residents. And B, the staff be directed to implement the necessary administrative process to support this priority registration system, including verification of residency where appropriate. And Madam Chair, if everything was equal, we wouldn't need to do this, but tax dollars are scarce. It's very expensive to build a new pool or new recreation facilities. And I don't think anybody, through my last 7 years as mayor, I'm sure many people have not agreed with what I've done or questioned why I've done something. But I don't think anybody's ever questioned that whatever I do, it's always advancing, protecting the interests of Brantford and its residents. And so I think this resolution I'm putting forward, we wouldn't have done this 5 or 6 years ago. Now the world's changed. I think we have to do it. And it's also in recognition of what it is that Brantford residents and taxpayers have done, not just every year in the operating budgets, but also in the capital budgets, what it costs to build these facilities, again, paid by Brantford taxpayers. So with that, I put the amendment on the floor. Thank you.
And I have Councillor Caputo speaking to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this has been a discussion pretty much all afternoon as we read this, because we, both the mayor and I had an idea that this was going to be what was going to be presented here tonight. And definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with the mayor's processes in terms of where we are, where we were, and where we're going. And I think this is something that desperately needs to be looked at this evening. And the staff did a great report, and I certainly respect all that, but I think we need to address this tonight. And I hope that all council members are all on board to ensure that we look after our residents first, at least with a window of opportunity, versus not having that opportunity going forward. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter to the amendment.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, this, including verification of residency issue. So does that mean the minor sports or minor soccer or aquatics got to review everybody's verification of where their address is, and if they're 2 blocks outside the city of Brantford, they can't play for minor baseball or minor soccer? They only can be residents that can play for that organization, or is it the organization that we're talking about? So I'm not clear about this residency, and it concerns me a little bit about how that would be managed or not managed. Does staff any comment on how we would do that? And we've checked with the sports organizations, so they're going to have to say to someone, sorry, you can't play for us because you don't live in the city.
Through the chair, I believe the amendment is only going to relate to registered city programs. So swimming lessons, day camp. So it gives an opportunity for City of Brantford residents to not be on a wait list for swimming lessons, something that is tax supported.
Okay, that's clarification I need to thank you.
Councillor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. I appreciate the intent of this, and I'm inclined to support it, but perhaps the mover and seconder at a second speaking opportunity could indicate why they have chosen a 24-hour period as opposed to a longer period, and why they've included Six Nations who are clearly not residents of the city of Brantford. I'd appreciate hearing a response to those inquiries.
Yes, well, we don't have back and forth, but perhaps Would you like a second speaking opportunity to your?
I'd like a second speaking
Okay.
opportunity to that amendment. So first of all, let me talk about Six Nations and what we've been trying to do over the last 5-6 years, both myself, council members, staff, and also many residents. We've been taking to heart what was told to us in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. We've been working, and I can tell you we've done a lot in the last 6 years to advance the cause of reconciliation accommodation. We know that Six Nations does have some recreational facilities, but does not have, in many respects, the same kind of recreational facilities we have. We just recently worked out an arrangement with Six Nations where their elders are going to be cared for at Fox Ridge while they're building a facility on Six Nations to replace the one that was damaged in a storm last summer. So I see this as a continuation of that. And in particular, to emphasize that we do truly take seriously the obligation, the call that went out 6-7 years ago to do meaningful reconciliation accommodation. So it's a reflection of that. So far as this applying to groups, no. I mean, we have the policy about groups that staff have advanced. This would, the intent is to apply only to programs where someone's registering as an individual for either them or a member of their family. And it's really about swim camps and day camps, because that's where we have the shortage and oversubscription. And the reason for 24 hours, because most of these programs, it's online. And, you know, the registration will open at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. And before you know it, 15 minutes later, everything's gone. And it seems to go to whoever is the quickest draw on the keyboard. And so the idea here is to provide a window of opportunity for Brantford residents and Six Nations. And there's a way to verify it through IP addresses and postal codes, that they would have the first opportunity. And then after that, non-residents can then take up the excess. It really kind of reflects in the similar philosophy that we have, that staff have brought forward in their report, and really what other municipalities across the province are doing, because they face the same constraints we do.
We'll call the vote on the amendment.
Item 6.1.4 as amended carries from a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samuel, and Van Tilburg.
Any further comments as amended? Councillor McCreary.
So you did want to hear what I said. Yeah. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I'm going to try an amendment, and I'll preface it as the mayor did. I'd like to see what impact on our finances it would have if we simply didn't accept bookings from out of town groups. So the amendment would be that staff be directed to provide financial information relating to out of town revenues in sports facilities for the last 3 years, and that be prepared for council for consideration. Seeking a seconder.
Seconded by Councillor Van Tilburg. Oh.
And I think it'll give us an idea as to whether or not we want to further restrict the access to out of town organizations and provide greater access to local organizations. Let's have a look and see what the money is and see what the economic impact would be of doing that. Thank you.
So seeing no one else in the queue, I will be supporting this amendment because I think we've done it before in our procurement practices. And we did it as a result of the changing landscape with the tariffs. And I think we owe it to the local user groups to have a look at this and run the numbers. I do think it's responsible for us to be doing it this way as opposed to just bringing something very permanent forward. I would like to see the numbers. I would like to make sure that we're making a wise decision. And if we could have that before council, that would be beneficial to us moving forward. So seeing no further speakers to this amendment, we'll call the vote on the second amendment.
The amendment to item 6.1.4 is carried on a recorded vote of 7-1. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councilors Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg. Those opposed, Councilor Sullivan.
Okay, we have a twice amended. Counselor McCreary, sorry, Counselor Carpenter.
It's different color here. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take this time to thank staff for this is a lot of work. They've done, it started and then it stalled and then it started again. Lori Dawn and Kim and your team, thank you very much for working with the community the way you did and listening to the community and making the changes and adopting to what the community wanted and even going further with the concerns here tonight. This is a tremendous amount of work and a long time coming and difficult decisions to be made here. Thank you for the hard work. It really is tremendous volume of work. Thank you.
All right, we'll call the vote as amended twice.
Item 6.1.4 as amended is carried on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councilors Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. We're going to call a 10-minute recess just to allow some of the individuals in the room to disperse. So we will be back at 7:55, please.
but that they can't.
I'll turn the screen back on because
All right, folks. It's 7:55. All right, welcome back. We will now move forward to the other separated items on our agenda. So up first, we have item 6.1.1. Counselor Samwell, you asked for that to be separated.
Thank you. So I just mostly wanted to separate that because I wanted to highlight some of the incredible work that's being done through the Eagle Place traffic review, and wanted to thank staff and the community for their participation. I had the opportunity to walk with the Safe Routes to School group, and some of the things that were talked about on those walks are actually coming forward. And so one that I really wanted to highlight was the all-way stop, so the four-way stop that's going to go in at Dorothy and Division, which has been something that the school community has been looking for and needing for a really long time. So we're really excited about that. I also wanted to acknowledge that there's going to be speed cushions on Eagle Ave between Erie Ave and Superior, and we're getting a pedestrian crossover at Foster Street in Eagle. There's also going to be pedestrian crossovers put at Madonna Della Libra School and a raised crossover between Parsons Park and Princess Elizabeth School. And then just another note just to say that River Road and Minturn Ave are both getting speed cushions, and there's so many other thoughtful recommendations in this report. So I just wanted to take a moment and highlight that, and thank staff for that work. Thank you.
All right, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.1 carries on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councilors Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilborn.
Item 6.1.2, the Homedale North Ward Neighborhood Traffic Safety Review. Mayor Davis, you asked for that to be separated.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to, as Councillor Samwell did, thank staff for, this is the second version of improvements being made in Homedale North Ward, and a real testament to the perseverance and dedication of the ward councillors as well. Question I have has to do with the fact that we have two major industries in Homedale that rely on truck traffic coming into them through Grand River Ave. Of course, one of them is Hartman Industries. That produces 85% of the egg cartons used in North America. And then, of course, S.C. Johnson's Canadian operations. We know in the past we've had some issues when we've made changes here at this council that either we're not known by or we're not aware of, the industries weren't aware of what we were doing. So what I'm going to ask staff to do before this comes to council, if you would please provide a specific notice to both S.C. Johnson and Hartman, advise them what the recommendations are that might impact their operations so that we can be sure to have their input, if any. And likewise, I'm going to jump ahead to 6.1.3. There's similar restrictions on Lock Road that would potentially affect Ingenia and Brand Store, and if you'd also do the same with respect to those industries. Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.2 carries a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Sokoli, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Up next, I have Councillor McCreary, who asked for item 6.1.3 to be separated, which is the truck route regulation amendment.
Chair, thank you, and through you to staff. Is there a Highway Traffic Act definition for heavy trucks? And do heavy truck operators meeting that criteria know that they are heavy trucks?
Rob Smith, Traffic Safety Supervisor. Yes, there is a definition of heavy truck in the Highway Traffic Act, and for the definition in our bylaw, I worked with our legal department to have a definition that's consistent with the HTA.
So is it number of axles or GVW? How is it defined?
It's the gross weight.
Your opinion about adding Margaret Drive to the list of signed streets. Margaret Drive is perhaps second only to Morton with respect to the number of complaints we get. It's the street that runs from Morton to West Street.
Yes, it can be added.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll add that as an amendment when the time's right. If it's, looks like it's now. If I could get a seconder to add that street to the list. Councillor Carpenter, thank you.
Seeing no speakers to the amendment, we will call the vote on the amendment. And can we see it on the screen before we?
Sorry, we're then schedule on appendix B to Margaret Drive.
Okay, so we see it on the screen. It's moved and seconded. We'll call the vote on the amendment to add Margaret Drive to appendix B.
The amendment to item 6.1.3 is carried on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Councillor Carpenter, as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just, Rob, by the way, you did a great job as usual. So here is just a change from the truck route sign to no heavy truck routes because of the current legislation. Is that correct?
Through the chair, it's a supplement to the truck route signage that we're adding no heavy trucks to basically re-emphasize the fact that we don't want trucks on the non-truck routes.
As well as adding it to the truck route signs. Okay, so that's what you're saying?
In addition to, yes.
Okay, and we've, other than the one we have added, we haven't taken any away here.
Correct. There's no change to the truck route network. We're just adding signage for where we don't want the trucks to travel.
Thank you very much for that.
We'll call the vote on item 6.1.3 as amended.
Item 6.1.3 as amended carries a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Moving on, item 6.1.5 municipal weed inspector appointment. Councillor McCreary, you wanted that separated.
Madam Chair, thank you. It's not very often we get to celebrate the appointment of two municipal staff to positions of importance here in Brantford. Congratulations to Jason Woodard from Golf and Tracy Burgess in Horticulture. I wonder if there's a member of staff who could tell us exactly what the duties, responsibilities, and powers are of weed inspectors.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor McCreary, their role would be to inspect any requests by the municipality to go inspect any weeds in and around our city itself. So such issues such as giant hogweed, thistle, those items that come in through work orders, they would go out and inspect and make sure that we're following all guidelines.
And do they have the power to order eradication of said weeds?
Correct.
Now, there's an anomaly with respect to Balmoral Drive. A city boulevard is divided from the golf course by a city fence, and on one side, the grass is as green and weed-free as can be, and on the other side, the city boulevard, weeds grow with abundance. Is that due to the fact that the province permitted spraying on golf courses but not on municipal properties?
Through you, the chair, that is correct. The golf course has an IPM program that we have to abide by. It is audited by the government every year, and we do weekly submissions, scouting reports, and put up detailed chemical usage online.
So in that case, Jason would inspect the east side, and Tracy would inspect the west side of that fence.
Through you, the chair, they have two different specialties. One is in turf, one is in horticulture. They will both look at the weeds accordingly.
Thank you for that.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.5 carries a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCurry, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Item 6.1.6, Councillor McCurry, you asked for this to be separated.
Again, Chair, thank you very much. This arose as a resolution from Greg and I, Councilor Martin and I, rather, in November of 25, and it addressed concerns that we had heard from the community of contractors in the city of Brantford about the needs to get permits to occupy roadways. And thank you to staff. It's a periodic review that we do on all of our policies from time to time, and it was done in short order. The key takeaways from this, in my opinion, are: number one, eliminating the need for short-term activity permits. Number two, we're piloting annual permits starting with forestry work, and perhaps once that's reviewed, we may extend that to other industries. And lastly, it's going to improve turnarounds in the process. There's been identification of some improvements that we can make. So a good work product from staff, and I think it'll be beneficial and satisfy some of the concerns that we've heard from people contracting works in the city of Brantford.
Councillor Carpenter.
Yeah, I've heard some of the concerns, and I've raised it with staff several times. The question I still have is, though, is the turnaround time for a booking for a permit. So we have to have a permit fee. My concern would be a contractor, someone has a sewer, water main needs fixed. They got backups in their house. They're going to be working on the driveway or on parked on the road to get the access to a backhoe onto the front lawn to do a sewer line. 15 days to turn around a permit is just very difficult for anybody, any business to manage scheduling and operations. How is that going to be improved?
Mark Jacklin, Director of Operational Services. So through you, through the chair to you, Councillor Carpenter, there's now a lot of hypotheticals, but depending on what the situation might be, that could be considered an emergency. And in that situation, the contractors have the ability to continue the work, but they do still have to apply for a permit after, just so that we're aware that we can go out and inspect to ensure that there's no damage to property.
So emergency work would be, they could schedule that in a week and they could call that emergency?
Through the chair, no, that wouldn't be correct. So if it was planned and scheduled work, then you would obviously go through the proper channels and register for a permit. But if it is emergency work that needs to be done right away, then they have that right under the policy to do that.
So what's the process, for example, if we want to do work, why in this digital age, why are we not putting down those organizations or businesses in town that do that work on a regular basis? Why aren't we just certifying those businesses that know how to do the work, that do the setups properly, do the reporting properly? Why can't they get a priority session? In fact, because they already know what to do and they're going to do it and they're going to provide the information, they could go ahead with the work. I know you're saying for tree trimming, but what about everybody else?
So Through the chair, it's, the issue really is about the rental of the space. And so we have to, every time that somebody's putting in a permit, we just want to verify that there's other things that are not going on, such as special events, detours. We also have to look at engineering projects, some development projects. So we just want to make sure that they're not interfering with those projects. And so typically, if you're asking for a typical permit, we can expedite that much quicker than some of those larger permits where we have to go back and forth with the contractor to get all that information.
And the 1 hour that you've got in the program, so you get 1 hour exemption. If you're gonna be there for an hour or less, you know, no need a permit. Is that for those that are cutting the lawns and doing the landscaping work within the community? Is that what that's for?
Yeah, through the chair, that's just for occupancy permits, yes. And that would be in those situations. And again, that's only on residential roads. If it's on a collector road or an arterial road, then you'd still have to go get a permit.
Okay, so on residential roads, and we don't need a permit if someone's got a moving truck moving in, they're parked on the street then, do we?
Through the chair, depending on the circumstances, that is correct.
Thank you.
We'll call the vote on this item.
Item 6.1.6 carries on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Item 6.1.7, citywide traffic calming and traffic control. Councillor Samwell, you asked for this to be separated.
Thank you. Yes, actually, it's another opportunity to thank staff again, because the other thing that I wanted to highlight was in this report instead. And so this is just talking about the Holy Cross, but the Holy Cross School there is getting an upgrade to a raised pedestrian crossover, and that Gray Street near the school is getting speed cushions. So I just wanted to thank staff for the hard work on that. Thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Doing a great job tonight. Rob, I want to thank you again for this, because I see in this report, and I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. Maybe you were already on it. But when we had concerns about Brentwood Park Road and Lennon Road, adding the dedicated left turn lane going southbound and the dedicated northbound lane, or the right turn lane of Rye Boulevard, I want to thank you for that. It's been a very much of a bottleneck in that location. And I know I sent a couple of emails, but I didn't really expect to see it this quickly. So thank you very much for recognizing that. And then the Brentwood Park Road speed cushion hallmark, thank you for that. And a number of speed cushions. The Gray Street, you got 2 speed cushions being on Gray Street between Patterson Avenue and James Avenue, adjacent to Whitman Keensville School. Is there's a crosswalk there? Is there anything that crosswalk for the school that crosses Gray Street? Are we doing anything with that crosswalk to improve the safety there?
Through the chair, we decided to go with the speed cushions at like the entry points to
And
the
see if
school
that's slow
zone,
to go down enough
to
to
get
make
them
the
slowed down going in.
I'm okay with waiting and seeing how that works out. Okay. And you got speed cushions on Lennon Ave as well, south of Lyndhurst Street. So is that 2? Do I see 2 there? Yes, I do. North and south of Lyndhurst Street, so on each side.
Through the chair, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you again for the work that you did so expeditiously. Thank you very much. I know that my constituents are going to say, how did that happen so fast? I'll be telling them how. Thank you.
We'll call the vote.
Item 6.1.7 carries on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van.
Thank you for that. Item 6.1.9, Neighborhood Association Code of Conduct. Councillor Samwell, you asked for this to be separated.
Yes, and through you, Chair, I actually have an amendment for this. So if there's any other speakers, otherwise I'd like to move that.
No, let's do it now.
Okay. All right, so this will be moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Van Tilburg. And the amendment will be as follows: that clause C be amended to the following: that staff be directed to undertake consultation with all neighborhood associations and and informed by that input, co-develop a neighborhood association code of conduct for executive members in partnership with the Neighborhood Alliance of Brantford, NAB, reflecting the collaborative approach successfully used in the revised Parks and Recreation Policy 005 Neighborhood Associations contained in Report 2025-259. And just to speak to that, I wrote this in this way to ensure that all of the neighborhood associations are consulted, because not all of them come to the NAB meetings or have a voice there. And I also think that it worked really well when NAB helped write the neighborhood association policy. That had a really positive impact, and I think this will have the same result. Its strength will come through collaboration, and we will end up with something that is co-created and community owned, which with the code of conduct, and that's exactly what it should be. And I hope that everybody will support this tonight.
So to the amendment, not seeing any speakers, so I'll just say a few things. I am absolutely going to be supporting this, but I would like to suggest to staff, I'm not going to make any amendments to it, but I do think that the consultation or whoever's conducting that should have perhaps an anonymous aspect to it, because I think there are some people that have warranted us creating a code of conduct for the neighborhood associations, and they might not be providing the feedback that we're looking to hear when they're looking at informing this code of conduct. So I would like to hear from some of the individuals without, or I should say, under the veil of privacy, so they feel like they can speak freely of their experience and what they think for this code of conduct. So I'm definitely supporting this, and I hope that we get some good feedback that'll help inform us moving forward. On that, we'll call the vote on the amendment.
The amendment to item 6.1.9 carries on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor: Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samuel, and Van Tilburg.
All right, seeing no speakers, so Councillor McCreary sliding in there.
Chair, thank you. I'm somewhat perplexed with respect to the instruction about consultation. I'm not privy to the reason why this came to us in the first place. I believe it was a resolution from Councillor Sullivan. So I don't know what prompted that, but I have my suspicions that there probably was some activity by some member of some neighborhood association that caused this to be before us today. And I'm just curious as to how staff would receive those inputs from those folks in those community associations, if in fact some of them perhaps are the reason for this being here in the first place. I realize that's sort of a convoluted comment, and I don't necessarily need an answer, but perhaps that's something staff could ponder.
Through the chair to Councillor McCreary, without giving it an awful lot of thought, just in the last few minutes. I think the way that we could do that and achieve that anonymity is through a survey. That would be the best way.
Excellent, good plan, thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to echo the chair's comments about the anonymity. I think that's the importance here, is the anonymity on how this will go forward, how it works, and understanding that neighborhood associations executives change from year to year. A process also outlining how that's going to be updated, how they're going to be educated, what the process is going to be, because neighborhood associations are volunteers. They have one today and lose one tomorrow and get another one the next day. So the process about procedure and how they're going to work, what needs to be part of the process. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And our neighborhood associations are volunteers. They're also an extension of the city. I think when they're out there and maintaining a certain level of professionalism is something that we should hold as a standard to all representatives. So with that, we'll call the vote as amended.
Item 6.1.9 as amended is carried on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor: Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samuel, and Van Tilburg.
Very good. We get to move on to resolutions now, and we do have a few. So Councillor McCreary, I have you up first with item 7.1.
Chair, thank you. It's seconded by Mayor Kevin Davis. And let me just read that. The title is Toonie Tuesdays, and the resolution reads, whereas public swims provide an opportunity for the residents of Brantford to enjoy recreation and water safety opportunities, and whereas the opportunities for swimming should be open to all residents regardless of economic status. And whereas swimming programs are a valued and well-used program that aligns with the city's commitment to supporting community well-being, physical activity, and equitable access to recreation. And whereas prior to the COVID pandemic, Toonie Tuesday public swims were a staple of programming for over 20 years that made public swimming more affordable and accessible for everyone in the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Brantford directs staff to implement Toonie Tuesday public swims at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center and Woodman Pool. The council directs staff to amend the user fees bylaw to charge $2 for Tuesday public swims at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center and Woodman Pool, and that fee remain in place and not be subjected to yearly increases. And the council directs staff to investigate and implement sponsorship opportunities with local businesses to provide free swims at Woodman on Friday evenings as part of the youth and kids programming. And by way of discussion, this is not affected by what we did earlier in the evening with respect to the allocation, as this is a city-sponsored activity. Now I have through you, Madam Chair, a few questions of staff. Would you say that more people will get more exercise as a result of this?
Through the chair to Councillor McCreary. Yes, we're looking at it as an opportunity to encourage healthy exercise and get kids off their devices. And currently we haven't had a lot of uptake in especially Woodman Pool. So we're trying to encourage people to come out and try it for the Toonie, and the youth were really good at coming in and handing a Toonie. And now that the price was raised, the uptake isn't there. So we want to encourage use of Woodman Pool.
And this would further optimize the use of those spaces.
Correct.
And this would provide affordable recreation for kids and adults in this time of ballooning cost of living increases.
Correct.
And it'll bring in a few more bucks.
Yes, and we have a new sponsorship coordinator that we're hoping that we can get some sponsorships to have local groups pay for this and provide that. So it actually would be a revenue generation in the end.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for that. So let me reiterate the benefits of going ahead with this tonight. Will it get more people out to get more exercise? Check. Will it optimize the Gretzky space and Woodman with putting more people in the buildings with respect to increasing the revenue while the costs remain fixed? Yes. Will it provide affordable recreation for kids and adults? Yes. And will it actually help folks with their monthly budgets so their kids can swim, whereas maybe they wouldn't if we don't do this? And the answer to that is yes. So I hope everybody will support this today. It's a good thing for the community. It's a good thing for Woodman, good thing for Gretz. Thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Yeah, I will support this. I remember the days when Earl Hague was an actual Olympic-sized pool, and it was relatively inexpensive to use, and that's where every kid in the community went, whether they're on the north end or the south end. They all went to Earl Hague Pool. So having places for kids to go, again, like I said earlier, anything that gets them off their iPads or off their iPhones is a good thing. Anything that gets them to physical activity where they can visit with each other than social media, that's a great thing. So I'm happy to support this. I just want to add, though, that we get the local businesses in the community that can be involved with sponsoring this, and we make sure that we can have places where their sponsorship can be portrayed, maybe on the screens around Woodman Community Center, and Woodman Community Center is well used. We've got terrific staff there, and there isn't a day that goes by that room, that meeting room and community room isn't being used by the community, or the gym isn't being used by the local kids in the neighborhood. So it's just a wonderful facility to have in the community. So I'm happy to support this, and Tuesdays and Fridays would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Samwell.
Thank you. Yeah, I too just wanted to say that I'm very supportive of this. I'm happy to see it happening at both Ringreski and at Woodman. It's going to mean a lot to the families in our community. And I'm looking forward to seeing what staff come up with to make sure that there's free use swimming as well, because that's going to add some improved access and improve health and well-being. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Caputo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Absolutely going to support this. I think it's a great initiative. I think it's great to bring back something that was very successful in the past, and certainly something that should be able to bring forward. And I'm a very big individual who's on the basis of components of having mass people coming out to various areas, whether it be at Gretzky or bringing everybody out to Woodman Pool. I'm also excited to see the results that's going to come from a sponsorship program, because it's certainly something that I've always talked about in the past, about having gardens built that would be sponsorship, and rinks named after something instead of 1, 2, 3, and 4. It should be business names on there. So I'm really going to be curious about this, because I think it's a huge opportunity that we have going forward, and certainly a stepping stool for someone to be able to see what these results will bring and how it can be utilized for things going forward. So thank you, Councillor McCreary, for bringing this forward.
I'll just say a few words. Back in my college days, there was a local establishment that offered Toonie Tuesdays, and it certainly encouraged me to visit. So I do believe that this is going to be a successful endeavor, I'm sure. And Councillor Caputo stole the words right out of my mouth. I wanted to highlight the part to this resolution that was particularly interesting to me, which was the sponsorship opportunities. That's something I really think we should be doing more of with a lot of our festivals. There's no reason why, Canada Day Festival couldn't be sponsored. So this is, I think, a stepping stone into us exploring some much bigger sponsorship opportunities with our local businesses, helping to support our local community members. So full support for this. Thank you for bringing it forward and Mayor Davis.
Yeah, I can also support this. The reason why I second it, because I can remember when I was a kid, going to the local outdoor pool in the summer was a big part of the weekly schedule. You pay $0.25 and you get there to swim to your heart's content. Had lots of fun, but and it was something that my family could afford because it was quite reasonable, and the pool was usually packed. Now we've got rates for a child of 3 to 17 years. The rates are like $4.58 to go into a public swim, and that's expensive, and means if you're lucky, depending on your family situation is, maybe you're going once a month. This way it'll be much more affordable, and hopefully many more kids will have the summers that I had as a kid, with much of it spent at the neighborhood pool. And also there's a good reason for doing this in terms of city operations efficiency, and that is, we've spent a lot of money, both ours and federal and provincial governments, in upgrading the Woodman Pool totally. And it's not just an upgrade, it's a replacement. But the uptake hasn't been as strong as we thought it would be, and the attendance numbers for the Woodman Pool are not what they were before the pandemic. So hopefully this will get people, families, kids, during the summer, especially during those heat waves, getting them into the habit of going to the Woodman Pool and enjoying what we have there and what's been done to really make that a fantastic swim facility. Thank you.
Councillor McCreary, second time.
One further note that I should have mentioned earlier. The fact that we're making steps to optimize one of our facilities, two of our facilities, in fact, I think is of equal importance. When I look at, summer golf between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, not a great uptake. Hockey, other than peak hours, not a great uptake. We have so much dark time in so many facilities. And this really is a good step to try and increase that optimization, to try and get more people through the doors, a little extra revenue, but also a lot more recreation for community members. For darn near all these facilities, our costs are fixed. And even if we give the stuff away, we're benefiting the community by making sure more people get more involved, get more exercise, and perhaps get a greater involvement in our community and our facilities. So another step along the way, Toonie Tuesdays. Thank you.
Very good. Seeing no further speakers, we will call the vote.
Item 7.1 is carried on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Coley, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Moving forward, item 7.2, Councillor McCreary, that's your resolution as well.
Chair, thank you. Seconded by Mayor Davis. And this is a long one, so if you want to nip out and get a coffee, just go ahead. This is about Communities in Bloom. Whereas Communities in Bloom is a nonprofit organization committed to fostering civic pride, environmental responsibility, and community beautification across Canada through friendly challenge and competition. And whereas the City of Brantford has an impressive history with Communities in Bloom, being the national champion in 2002, and then after a lengthy hiatus from competing, achieved 4 blooms in 2024, as well as receiving the Ontario Criteria Award winner for horticulture. And whereas the City of Brantford competed again last year in the 2025 Communities in Bloom, Ontario judges awarded the City of Brantford with the coveted 5 out of 5 blooms, earning the municipality the opportunity to compete nationally this year. And whereas the City of Brantford is proud to have a rich tradition of horticultural excellence with more than 180 floral gardens plus many other floral works of art. And whereas the City of Brantford staff demonstrates excellence through their skills, artistic design, creativity, and dedication to their professions. And whereas participating in Communities in Bloom provides the opportunity for many corporate departments to collaborate and work together to highlight our community in a positive way. And whereas citizens of Brantford are proud of their city's horticultural beauty and demonstrate a commitment to environmental stewardship. And whereas Parks and Rec has an approved budget to participate provincially in Communities in Bloom, however, the opportunity to compete at a national level will require additional resources. And whereas the registration cost to participate nationally this year, $2,900, exceeds the registration cost to participate provincially of $1,000. The fee covers the cost of admin and project evaluation for participating cities and towns. And whereas other costs associated with enhanced promotion include support, coordination, preparation, and community involvement, hosting the judges while visiting Brantford, engaging participants and volunteers, and attending the national awards ceremonies. And whereas staff will create and promote a Communities in Bloom sponsorship program to offset the cost to participate. And whereas a Communities in Bloom organizing committee, including city staff and community volunteers, will work collaboratively to establish a program to focus on our exceptional horticulture displays, our community heritage, environmental stewardship, landscaping, and urban forestry. And whereas the City of Brantford wishes to highlight our city through the Communities in Bloom program and achieve recognition as being one of the best blooming communities in Canada for horticultural excellence, community appearance, landscaping, heritage conservation, environmental stewardship, and urban forestry. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Brantford participate nationally in the 2026 Communities in Bloom program, establish an organizing committee, and that the enhanced costs associated from registering, participating, promoting, resources to enhance existing horticultural displays, and other ancillary costs for the national competition be funded with an upset limit of $20,000 from the Council Priorities Reserve. And thank you, staff, for putting that together in such a lengthy fashion. So let me say this, like Toonie Tuesdays, we're back. Communities in Bloom, we've been after quite a hiatus. We were back in action, and we've demonstrated what a winner this community is with respect to everything that goes into that. And those of us who've been around a while, I'm looking to the gentleman on my right here, we can think back to the people that led this community with respect to horticulture, namely Len Joylan, Hans Loig, Wolfie Schultz, Vic Hergott, Maureen Sinclair, and people more recent who've taken the lead here. So we qualified for the nationals. We've heard about competitions tonight already. This is a competition that we excel at. The theme for this year is therapeutic gardening. And more than ever, we recognize the restorative power of the landscape, of green spaces, of gardens, whether the sensory garden, whether gardens, this creates a sense of resilience and well-being for folks in the community. So you think about Brantford, you think about what we do well at, right? We do well at horticulture. Our parks are second to none. We care about and we're proud of our community the way it looks. second to none in landscaping, environmental stewardship, urban forestry. These are all the criteria for judging. So this helps us create a community effort to participate in a national competition. It'll involve community volunteers. It'll involve individual participation by residents, by companies, by organizations. It's truly a great thing for us. We've done it before. We were successful before. And after that hiatus, we came to the realization that we'd been absent a few years for no good reason. So we're back. And I think this is something that's a community pride. It's something that staff certainly embrace. I think staff were maybe a bit hesitant about it in the first year, but they've come to love the participation and the challenge that this creates for us. So I would hope that everybody would support this today, support getting on board with this, participating in it as counselors, and encouraging others in the community to become participants as well.
Thank you. Counselor Samwell.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm very excited that we're doing this again. The staff and the volunteers last year did an amazing job, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with the judges as they toured a neighborhood garden, and they were thrilled. And I can't wait to see what comes next and to see our city celebrating us being recognized nationally again. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Van Tilburg.
Yeah, last year or 2 years ago, 4 out of 5 blooms for the province. Last year, 5 out of 5 blooms for the province. And I'm hearing the words national being thrown around, which then makes me go back to the big times. We were 1995 national champions. We were 1996 world champions in this. What is it going to take to get us to the top, like where we were on square? What does it take to win? We've been there, we've won. So I kind of want to know what has to be done or to give it our absolute best shot.
Through the chair to you, Councillor Van Tilburg, after last year's amazing effort with the entire city participating and many departments, we feel that we have a very good formula to compete nationally. The criteria changes slightly, so it's just really enhancing what we have, and just putting on our best effort when the judges are in town, which we've demonstrated that we do a very good job at.
Sounds good. And after we win this year, the world's right. Just say yeah.
I am very excited for that if the time comes.
Thank you. Counselor Carpenter.
Well, Councillor Van Tilburg brought up the history, and I asked, and so did Councillor McCurry. Councillor McCurry and I were there when we won the national championship, and I remember Chris Friel was the mayor, and we had to go to Australia, I think, to accept the award, if I recall correctly. But I just want to remind members of council, those were the days when Brantford put a lot more money into the Parks Department's horticultural budget, when every park was beautiful and every park was well maintained. But over the years, we have cut those budgets significantly. And so just so you know, we were known everywhere in Ontario as the best parks in the city. And we can get back to that. And especially when we start thinking about this Communities in Bloom contest. So it is a worthwhile endeavor. We had the Chamber of Commerce involved originally, and they were involved with all the local businesses and all their members. I think they had a competition amongst their own members to beautify their businesses and their industrial complexes to also be part of that. I think that's an opportunity for us to do that as well. So I think there is an opportunity here. Will there be a budget for the $20,000? Will we see a budget? I think we saw a budget last year. Did we not?
Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter. Apologies, the notice of motion that we had uploaded did have a full budget. That included, my apologies. So the enhanced registration fee itself,
Yep.
to compete nationally.
I do see it now.
Oh,
It's in the,
you
it's in
do?
the, it's in the package underneath it. So
Perfect.
yes, I see it now.
Perfect.
I just had the resolution come up at first, so
Okay.
I do see the budget there. So thank you very much for that. And I was happy to participate last year and be happy to participate again this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no further speakers, I do have one question. Oh, sorry, Mayor Davis. You could go.
Yeah, I'm here tonight, Madam Chair. Yeah, there's some great stories about what Brantford has achieved in the past. I'd like to focus on what we've achieved in the very near past. And since council set this out as a priority about 2-3 years ago, it's been a very determined, persistent effort by primarily city staff, but also all volunteers and associated groups, including the Brant Historical Society. And I went to the event last summer where we were awarded the 5 blooms. And I have to say, for those of you who've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It was a very large event. There were people there from all across Canada. It really gave our community a profile, because not only is it about horticulture, but it's also about some of the unique aspects of your community, because you're judged on different aspects of your community. So it was one of the moments of great pride I had last year representing the city. Pride in the fact that we accomplished this as a city, but also pride in the city staff or horticultural staff. It was absolutely amazing the effort that they put in last year. They provide floral displays in our community, both seasonal, like in the winter and Christmas and over the summer, which are frankly outstanding. Last year, they were even more outstanding. I'm really looking forward to what our dedicated horticultural staff will be doing to as part of this competition, but I have no doubt and extremely confident that we will prevail because we're Brantford and we got some of the best city staff, I think, in the country. So pleased to support this and pleased to have seconded it.
Thank you for that. I was going to ask a quick question. I brought the amendment, Councillor Sullivan and I, about the willow trees in Lorne Park. Will those be looked at perhaps before the judges are visiting, or what's the plan for Lorne Park? If we
Through the
can
chair.
share?
We're bringing a report to council in June and we're already actively working on renovating that area.
Okay. I hope that we can maybe get something done before the judges visit, but this event is something that's really grown on me over the years. A few years ago, I happened to be the mayor of the month when the judges were here, so I spent the day with them and going from site to site, and there was something about seeing the city through the eyes of a visitor, of somebody who hasn't been here before, and listening to them talk about how special it is and talk about how beautiful it is. It really filled me with a pride, and it opened my eyes and had me looking at things almost for the first time again. So full support for this. It's such a wonderful event and I'm really proud to have it here. So, and thank you to all the staff. The logistics, the behind the scenes things that go on from staff, and just the driving routes of where we take the judges, just every little thing is so well thought out. And I truly believe that because of our staff, that's why we're so successful at this event. So thank you for that. And seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote.
Item 7.2 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 8-0. Those voting in favor: Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and Van Tilburg.
Thank you for that, Madam Clerk. Now, before we move into the notice of motions, Councillor Caputo has indicated he'd like to waive the rules to look at his notice of motion this evening regarding Balmoral Drive. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could read the the motion to waive, state your seconder, and then I'll have you read your entire resolution. You know the drill. We won't make you read it again if that passes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's 8.2 Balmoral Drive and Kent Road traffic control. And it's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Carpenter. That section 1511.5 of chapter 15 of the City of Brantford Municipal Code be waived in order to introduce the following resolution without prior notice of motion. Whereas City Council received report number 2025-7 Balmoral Drive Neighborhood Safety Review and their meeting March 25th, 2025. And whereas the recommendation to install a traffic circle at the intersection of Balmoral Drive at Kent Road was repealed and replaced with the removal of a stop sign on Balmoral Drive at Kent Road. And whereas always stop control was removed at the intersection of Balmoral Drive and Kent Road, and a pedestrian crossover was installed on the west side of the intersection. And whereas feedback from the residents in attendance at the Ward 2 Town Hall meeting on March 25th, 2026 at the Walter Gretzky Golf Course indicated strong opposition for the removal of the always stop control at the intersection of Balmoral Drive and Kent Road. Now therefore be it resolved that the pedestrian crossover installed at Balmoral Drive at the west side of Kent Road be removed, and that the always stop control be reinstated at the intersection of Balmoral and Kent Road, and that all the necessary bylaw presented to City Council for adoption.
Any discussion on the motion to waive the rules? Councillor McCreary.
We have an explanation as to the immediacy, please.
I was going to ask the same thing. Any other first-time speakers to the motion to waive the rules? Yeah, sounds like we're opting not to provide an explanation. If you'd like to use the speaking opportunity.
Yes, I would like to explain.
Sorry, we get 2 speaking opportunities on the motion to waive.
Okay.
So, thank you.
The reason I'd like to bring this forward tonight is because I'd like to get this done in this particular cycle versus bringing it forward at council and then waiting an additional month. Basically, what was discussed at the meeting that particular evening had some legs and had some people back in it, so it was imperative that we bring it forth tonight.
Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, I was at the meeting, and so the residents were looking for some immediacy to the resolve, and having known the process being that by the time it goes to council and comes back and then gets approved and then gets bylawed, it could be well into 3 or 4 months, and this way would move it ahead by a month, I think.
And speaking to waive the rules, I generally do not vote in favor of waiving the rules if I can help it, but I do think this, what's in here fits the theme of the night, and I think we've had some public consultations, so I will support the motion to waive the rules. Seeing nobody else looking to speak to this, I'll remind everyone we need a 2/3 vote, and we'll call that vote now.
The motion to waive the rules is carried on a recorded vote of 7-1. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sokoli, Caputo, McCreary, Carpenter, Samwell, and those opposed, Councillor Van Tilburg.
Madam Chair, if I may call a point of something. I neglected to call a conflict of interest on this. I just live around the corner, so, and I've already voted on it. So if you could just note that, and I'll excuse myself from further discussion and voting.
We will note that, and in all fairness, you probably didn't know it was coming forward tonight to give that thought, so that's noted. Did you want to introduce this at this point? You don't have to read the whole thing, just the title, state your seconder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Carpenter. Basically, this has been a 3-year in the making type of situation. We had a lot of residents come forth to me in the past that that stop sign was kind of too close to the other stop sign, which was at Oxford. And after getting the traffic study done and staff doing a great job, and you know, Mark and Rob and their team, again, the circle was what was designed to go into that area. And, you know, after getting in that area and driving and seeing it, the circle would have literally caused a huge interruption to people's driveways going that are on that spot, and a crosswalk would go in. And I guess if hindsight would have been 2020, we probably would have looked at putting a raised crosswalk, and I don't know what kind of an effect that would have had on the resident across the street. But definitely that was the what was going forward. That night at the town hall, the resident who directly lives across there was very adamant on the fact that they thought it was a traffic concern. And then when that happened, it then steamrolled to have other residents come forward and voice their opinion to it. So as Councilor Carpenter mentioned, you know, in order to get this done in rapid form and to ensure that we are listening to the residents in the neighborhood, that this had to be brought here tonight. So I apologize to the residents of that area for having this decision being made, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to correct the wrong and be able to put back what they need, and safety will prevail, and the voices of people are actually heard. And hopefully this will suffice as we move forward.
Thank you. Councillor Samwell, please.
Thank you. Through the chair. So I just wanted to mention that I also had the opportunity to be at the Ward 2 Safety Town Hall meeting and hear directly from the residents in that area, the families and the neighbors. And you could literally feel the emotion in that room. There was so much concern in regards to the safety issue that they felt that the stop sign being removed and that it shouldn't have been. And so I will be fully supporting this tonight to put it back. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Van Tilburg.
Thank you, Chair. You've done a wonderful job tonight. My question is for staff. There was a, I believe always stop sign set up put at, is it, Olive or whatever, and, Balmoral? It's adjacent to the
chair, yeah, it was Oxford.
Oxford, that's it. Oxford and Balmoral. When was that put in there? How long ago? Was that within 3 or 4 years?
Through the chair, at least 5 years.
At least 5 years, yeah, about one term, at the end of one term. So was there problems with the fact that 2 sets of stop signs were close together and bottling up traffic, and also not some of the stop signs therefore not being warranted?
Through the chair, it is, I mean, it is a residential area, so it is obviously not, there was some concerns that were raised back in the day of having 2 stop signs very close together. And so that's why through that neighborhood traffic safety review, we looked at different options. But ultimately, we're back.
So we'll be putting the stop signs back in. And will there ever be a return to actually having the raised pedestrian area there? Or is that terminated permanently with this council resolution?
Through the chair, you can't have both. So yes, it would be permanently canceled.
So, okay, so what was done in the study that people saw and came to and agreed to will no longer be what they expect? Because I was at that meeting as well. And my understanding was that their concern was that the stop signs were taken out before the rest was fully implemented. And so if it's actually terminated, I think that that's what we should all recognize, that it's terminated, and then we just wait for the next round of the public opinion criticizing back-to-back stop signs. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may be so bold to speak on behalf of Councillor Sless, who was at the meeting and made a commitment to the public, as did Councillor Caputo, that they heard the citizens' concerns, and the citizens said they wanted the stop sign put back. It was overwhelmingly. And I know that Councillor Sless will be here, he'd be arguing this on behalf of his constituents, as he always does. And the citizens are never wrong, in my opinion. I know that we would like to think that maybe we might know more sometimes, but I don't think we do. I think the citizens overwhelmingly at that meeting said, put the stop sign back. It was loud and it was clear. And so whether someone, one of us thinks that it should be there or shouldn't be there, I always err on the side of the citizens first. And so they've asked for the stop sign to put back. Having two stop signs, a stop sign there, I think it did it slowed it down. You went for another block or a half and there's another stop sign. It's on a curve. So I didn't think that was a bad thing at all to have the other stop sign there. But the residents felt that very unsafe. The crosswalk, kids crossing the crosswalk without a stop sign, they felt very unsafe. They saw people coming around. They said kids were very nearly clipped. We heard those comments at the meeting that it was not safe. And they, regardless of whether it meets the study or warrants, the residents feel it's safer to be there, and the ward councilors have committed to put it there. And I always support the ward councilors, so I'll be voting in favor of this.
Thank you. Counselor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to staff, I got a little bit of a concern here. I know when we added in the pedestrian crosswalk on Hunter's Way before Flanders, we did it not knowing that a stop sign at Flanders and Hunter's Way was going to be removed. When the residents actually were anticipating both. They were thinking they were getting the raised crosswalk at the bend, but also getting the stop sign. Now, you mentioned you can't have both. Is there a particular reason why?
Through the chair, just a point of clarification, Balmoral Drive, there's a report approved by council last year for the installation of traffic calming on Balmoral Drive. So we are still installing mid-block speed cushions along Balmoral Drive in Somerset. When Mark was speaking, he was just talking about at the intersection itself. You can technically have a raised crosswalk at a stop sign, but it's unnecessary when vehicles are stopping anyway. And the intention of the raised crosswalk is to slow traffic down. So you don't technically need it at an always stop.
Okay. That makes clarity for that incident.
And second time speaker and Counselor Van Tilburg, please.
Just to be clear, I'm supporting the resolution. I'm supporting the motion on the councilors. It's been said that the public, that this decision was somewhat done mythically by an individual somewhere. That's not correct. This was public input on 3 different occasions with 3 different outcomes. So this is going to be the 3rd one. This is the 3rd time we followed public opinion, which, okay, we saw it. It was very loud, very specific. In other words, we tried this, not good. We tried that, not good. We're on the 3rd one. Let's hope that we don't have to come back for a 4th one. But that is the 3rd time with public opinion.
Yes, I'll be supporting this as well this evening. I think traffic calming and parking are one of those issues that, or conversations that always has strong opinion on both sides. And I think when we sit up here and we just err on the side of safety always, it's hard to go wrong when we're doing that. So I will be supporting this and supporting the ward councilors and the residents in that area. So seeing no further speakers, we'll call the vote on this.
Item 8.2 carries on a recorded vote of 7-0. Those voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Kohli, Caputo, Carpenter, Samwell, Van Tilburg, noting Councillor McCurry's conflict.
Great. We do have one notice of motion on the agenda. That's Councillor Samwell. If you wouldn't mind reading the title for us.
Support for the Poppy Project.
Thank you very much. We have survived. This meeting is adjourned.
And
Thank you.
Go Bulldogs, go tomorrow.
Go Bulldogs.